What is going on, Fight Hype fam? What is going on? We are once again live, this time back at the offices in Las Vegas headquarters for Fight Hype. And we are watching Devin Haney going for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world overseas in Melbourne, Australia tonight on ESPN against the unified champion, George Kambosos, who we all know had a huge upset at Teofimo Lopez in Madison Square Garden last November. Kambosos, the champion with fast hands and fast feet, and Devin Haney, a master boxer, a guy assumed to be one of the next great American fighters in the sport. But right now we're actually watching the telecast and getting ready for this co-main event between Jason Maloney and Aston Palete from the Philippines. And Maloney, of course, lost, got to the top of the mountain in terms of opportunities and facing Naoya Inoue, but was knocked out in 7 rounds in that fight. So this fight is going to be for really to break into the top 5 of the WBC and the WBO, a version of their Continental America's titles, or not their Continental America, their international titles for the WBC and the WBO. So, the winner of this fight, if it's Maloney, he's on his way to getting a crack at the Inoue Donaire winner. Inoue a second time, Donaire a first crack at it. And if it's Palete, either an all Filipino fight with Donaire or fighting Inoue if he beats Donaire again in that rematch. But right now, well, Inglewood, Ozzy, why you ain't in Australia, bruh? Well, Inglewood, I do not have either a visa or a vaccine. So, and then right now the passport situation is really backed up. I couldn't, by the time I looked up a passport by March, everything was backed up for several weeks and months. So there was no way I could make it in Australia in time to cover the fight. Otherwise, I'd definitely be there. Big reason being, we actually have covered Devin on Fight Hype for, more than half a decade. And me going even back to 2014, if you ever have seen that famous sparring footage between him and Sean Porter, I was lucky enough to be there to film that. And that was one of the videos, at least on YouTube, that really kicked off the Devin Haney hype train on the internet. And he was 15 at that time when I got introduced to him through Kenny Porter, who introduced me to Bill Haney, who then introduced me to his son. And I remember watching Devin spar Sean that day, Sean Porter, and Sean was working on defense, like he was told, assigned from his father to work on defense and head movement. But even with Sean working with this kid, this 15-year-old kid, Devin's jab and his movement and his offense to defense, his hand speed, and just his technical prowess at just 15 years old, it was obvious I was watching not just a future world champion, but probably a future special fighter immediately after just a few rounds of watching that. So it's been a long journey for me and for us at Fight Hype, covering Devin Haney. We even, if you go back and check the archives, we were the only outlet really there in Shreveport, Louisiana, when he fought Ndogeni from Africa on the Showbox main event. We were the only outlet really there when he fought Mason Maynard at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, also a Showbox main event. I think Juan Carlos Burgos, who he also fought in a Showbox main event, that was in Indio, California. A couple other outlets were there as well, but we go way back with Devin Haney, really before he became a professional and was still finishing up his career in the amateurs. He turned pro so young at 16, but we go back to him even at 15 years old. So, big moment in watching Devin tonight. But as you guys know who follow these round by rounds, no bias whatsoever in these round by rounds. We will call this fight down the middle. We also got a lot of love for George Kambosos on the channel. George kind of was prophetic in what was, he told us, one of his favorite interviews he's ever done. We got him poolside in February of 2021 at Caesar's Palace, still in the middle of the pandemic. And George predicted he would upset Lopez. He said Lopez was going to be weight trained, was going to look past him, was going to come off too big of a high from beating Lomachenko. And he said he was going to go on and fight Devin Haney after beating Lopez. And so far, everything he said in that interview has come true. But tonight, really up against, I don't care what the tail of the tape says. Tail of the tape says George Kambosos is 5'9", Devin Haney is 5'8". But it's clear if you just look at the weigh-ins, Haney's the bigger man, the taller man, the bigger man, the man headed for welterweight at some point in his career. whereas Kambosos is really a true lightweight, and as high as he can go is only 140, if that. He's really settled in as a lightweight at 27 years old, but Haney at 23 will go to 40 and 47 inevitably. He's the bigger guy, the younger guy, the guy who was pegged from before being a pro for stardom. Kambosos has come, to a lot of us relatively out of nowhere. A lot of us, myself included, thought Lopez was probably headed towards a highlight reel kind of knockout against a mandatory, but George showed he's more savvy than that, has a huge heart, huge balls, much better hand speed than we gave him credit for. That kind of Manny Pacquiao-like style and hand speed from all those rounds of sparring with Pacquiao, in and out with his feet, fast hands, good timing, ballsy, can put punches together, and is smarter than guys might think in there, and showed against Lopez when he dropped him with his right hand that he can punch going backwards. So we'll see. But let me just take a look at the chat here as I'm yapping. How long till the main event? Well, probably got about another hour till we get to main event time. Right now, Kambosos in the dressing room, looking cut up, looking pretty shredded. There's a lot of worry about him not making weight on his first attempt. After a lot of big talking from George, not the best look. He claimed thereafter that it was the art of war and deception. But if it's the art of war and deception, then why would you not continue to deceive your opponent? Why give away the deception in order just to save face? Saving face shouldn't be more important than your tactic of deception. So just because the public scrutiny is coming back and everyone's, scrutinizing you missing weight, you don't give away the deception if that's what you're really doing all along. It looks like you're just saving face. So we'll see, but that shouldn't really, determine the fight. We'll see here on fight night. But, again, Haney, the longer guy, the guy who's bigger, a little younger, although age doesn't matter. If anything, it can maybe even favor Kambosos because he's 27 and in his prime, maybe even a little bit more seasoned for this than Devin. But, taking away the Lopez fight, his seasoning came against Lee Selby and Mickey Bay, and Devin's came against Gamboa, Linares, and Diaz. So both guys ready for this tonight. And Kambosos again in the locker room looking shredded. Devin still not gloved up yet, headphones on. Team all wearing red, kind of like his hometown San Francisco 49ers. But someone says Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Is that an Australian chant or phrase? Fights at 8 p.m. Yeah, that's about right. That would have been funny if you went to Australia. Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have gone, guys. It kind of hurts me not to be out there getting coverage. Again, from covering Devin all the way back from the Sean Porter sparring to interviewing him in the gyms out here in Vegas for a long time. Almost it's different when the fighter is young. You can kind of more unabashedly do PR for them without feeling like a hack, without feeling biased, because it's simply just a young guy trying to get his name out there. And so you can kind of take his side a little bit in helping him do so until he gets to the top level. And then, fans like yourselves start to, raise an eyebrow if you favor one champion over the other. But when they're young, it's fun, and you can quasi do some kind of PR for them, honestly, help them build their brand and get themselves out there. And so we definitely helped do that for Devin. And so it is a little something to see him come from 15 years old. I think he either had just taken his braces off or something like that. I don't know if he, something like that, but still had his, his youngin' face. And now he's a grown man, really having his graduation as a professional fighter and going for the undisputed titles. So, quite a journey for us to watch him. We even were there in that bubble in late 2020 against Gamboa in Florida, where only FightHype and Boxing Scene and a few other channels were there. But it was a time where no one was really even in events, and then not a lot of fights were happening. So all the way through that to now. But I think the Linares fight and the Diaz gave him a good fight in terms of handling pressure, an intelligent pressure fighter. And Linares gave him a good look at a guy who can kind of help match his hand speed, because not too many guys are going to do that for Haney. And Linares, even though he was old, was able to give him that look, was able to match his hand speed in the later rounds. And so that was good seasoning for him. And for Kambosos, that 12 rounds with Mickey Bey was probably one of the best 10 rounds. It was a 10-round fight. Was probably one of the best fights he could have got to get ready for Haney style, you know. And Mickey Bey did a great job. You know, check out the interview. Well, it's fight time now, so forget the interview. But Mickey Bey did a great job with Kambosos in slowing him down and forcing him into a chess match, into a boxing match. And he did that with timing and his length and his jab. And that, you know, that sounds familiar to Haney's skill set. But for those of you who watched this fight, you know, maybe talk about it in the chat. But Mickey Bey, even kind of rusty and past his best, just with good timing and savvy and smarts and his length, he's a, longer arms and his jab, he was able to slow Kambosos down. And even though I actually thought Kambosos should have won a unanimous decision that night, not as close as having it a split like the judges did, he was still slowed down quite a bit. But maybe he figured something out there, because he knocked Mickey Bey down in the 10th round. And I think he learned a lot from that fight. And it probably was a really good fight for him heading into Devin Haney. So let's see now. Haney gonna win, no cap, says Ghostface. I love the screen name. That is definitely my favorite guy in the Wu-Tang Clan. OG, is this the guy who was behind the camera with Floyd Mayweather after his fights? It's not me. That is the great BT. Won't even say his full name. You know, I don't know if we want his name said like that, but that is the great BT. Go check the video credits at the end if you want to know who that was. But no, not me. I'm trying to hold it down these days. When the Haney fight, that should be in about an hour. Did y'all peep what happened at ESPN? No, I'm just catching. They got the noise off, you know, giving you commentary. Happy Sundays with FightHype. Thank you, ads. You must be overseas saying happy Sunday. It's still Saturday night here in America. Let's see here. You still getting good angles, though. Also, I like your knowledge and boxing talk if you have it. Thank you, sir. Hey, FightHype, were you on that one show, Disney show, Drake and Josh? That was not me. That wasn't me. That wasn't me on Drake and Josh. No, just a guy, a less good-looking version of me, you know. But a better good-looking version of me was in Dude, Where's My Car? Pause. Anyway. What's on tap for Jojo Diaz? I don't know. You know, I think it kind of sucks that Jojo didn't wind up getting the Ryan Garcia fight. He's the guy who beat Javier Fortuna. I think stylistically, that's a more entertaining fight. I would have rather seen Jojo get that fight instead of Javier Fortuna. Why so many commercials? These fights overseas, maybe for the exception of Matchroom, who's a little bit more of a well-oiled machine, having lots of cards per year over there. But even them, a lot of cards overseas, just the stalling is pretty bad on some of these telecasts. So that is the case right now. But greetings from North Korea. I don't believe you, BB, but if you really are from North Korea, we here at FightHype have achieved a lot, getting North Koreans even on the channel. Shout out to punk-ass Kim Jong-un. Anyways, I don't even know enough. Anyway, let's see. Who is fighting right now? We're still waiting on the Jason Maloney fight against Aston Polite from the Philippines. About that co-main event for a second. Filipino fighters, even if they got a few losses on their record, are oftentimes very explosive. And they can be dangerous. They can be dangerous and upset you out of nowhere. Mike Plania, I think, did that fairly recently to Josh Greer. Even here in America, we have a tough journeyman kid who may still have more losses than wins, Cameron Creel. But I've seen him knock off a number of undefeated prospects in cards, club shows throughout the United States. And, but typically Filipino fighters come with explosiveness, you know. So, and a lot of them are southpaws like Pacquiao. So, but we'll see with Aston Palete. But you know, I wouldn't sleep on him heading into this Jason Maloney fight. Maloney obviously getting this opportunity in part because he's an Australian native. That crowd is still pretty thin, pretty sparse at Marvel Stadium in Melbourne. Looks like they still got a fight going on in the ring, so I will be stalling for a minute. I wouldn't mind hearing what Tim Bradley and crew have to say, but we're gonna have our own. We're gonna subscribe to our own method of thought here tonight on the FightHype channel. But shout out to the ESPN crew, of course. You box, YouTube boxer, asked Pape de Todos. No, do not box, but every now and then you catch me in the gym. I had 3 amateur fights back in 2006, 2007. Won 2 of them, lost one, won 2 of them. But that is it for me being a boxer. You should be a YouTube boxer. I think I would definitely do it if they ever had a YouTube channel's boxing card and the money was solid. I would definitely do it. No question about that. I'd have to get in shape, make a few better lifestyle choices. So, how many minutes till the fight? We're still looking at probably an hour till main event time. And I said an hour 15 minutes ago, and I'm going to keep it at an hour 15 minutes later. Sean, did you want to take this trip over? I did, Raider Jedi. I did want to take the trip over, but again, no visa, no passport. I've never been outside of the United States. And I didn't know the vaccine protocol. I didn't get a vax. Not anti-vax. Go if you want a vax, get a vax. You know, I just didn't want one, me personally. But more the visa issue, I think, probably was what did it. It was just things were so backed up for some reason to where I couldn't get an appointment for a passport for several months. Everything was backed up. So that kind of ruined my chances of going out there to Australia and covering it, which hurts. It hurts to cover Haney since before he was a professional. And here's kind of the mountaintop moment, and we're not there to cover it. But, you know, definitely going to have fun with you guys just in the chat and holding it down at home, calling the fight at home. It's definitely, I don't have to worry about irritating the people ringside. Sometimes when we call these fights ringside, I'm a little cognizant of being a pest to the person to my left and the right, other than ringside media members who are trying to watch the fight. You know, I'm sure they're not dying to hear my commentary, but when I'm at home, I don't got to worry about that shit. Sean the type to chew on crayons. I think Alex Smitty, if you could elaborate on that a little bit more, is all I ask. Let's go, George Kambosos. I'm also Greek. I live in Melbourne, Australia, but I'm not going to Marvel Stadium. Let's see. Tank beats Shakur. Tank beats Shakur. That's a good fight. How do you spell Sean? S-E-A-N. That's how I do my name. Just woke up. So, Junior Fa did lose by a first-round knockout tonight by Lucas Brown, veteran Lucas Brown. Now 27 knockouts and 31 wins, but landed a bomb of a right hand, and Junior Fa could not recover. Showed a lot of heart even getting up. His body was completely, twitching and just completely on Queer Street. Body was out of it and in a daze, but his heart wanted him to continue. Suffered another right hand, went down again, and that was it. But huge knockout for Lucas Brown. Definitely one worth going back and watching. Yeah. Let's see. Black Sheep said, Drake Bell, when did you start covering boxing? I started covering boxing. Actually, the first fight I ever covered, I was 14 years old. It was Shotgun Manuel Gomez against Antonio Margarito at what was then the Aladdin Casino on the Strip in Vegas. Now it's the Planet Hollywood. But I covered that fight, and Antonio Margarito knocked out Manuel Gomez in one round. I covered it for a magazine, that short-lived magazine called Latin Boxing Magazine. And yeah, Margarito knocked him out in a round, and then him and Roger Mayweather got into it at the post-fight. And Margarito told Roger Mayweather, "I'll knock your nephew out just like Julio Cesar Chavez knocked you out." And Roger Mayweather told him, "You're not Julio Cesar Chavez. Yeah, I got knocked out by Julio Cesar Chavez, but he's the greatest Mexican fighter ever. And in his words, his direct quote, you're not no motherfucking Julio Cesar Chavez." And that's what he told him. And, him and Floyd never fought, and Margarito went on to lose to Paul Williams that year and then beat Cotto 2 years later and get caught with the raps and all that. But yeah, that was the first fight I covered. And then I didn't get to cover anything for the rest of high school until 2011. And I covered some local Las Vegas fights in high school my senior year, 2009. Oliver McCall was really old and was fighting at the Orleans in Las Vegas. And Lance Whitaker, or King Arthur, old school cruiserweight, heavyweight King Arthur. And yeah, and then really started though in 2011 covering Khan versus Judah. And that's been it ever since, man, ever since to now. So 11 or 16 years, depending on which one you want to cover it. Sean A. Harris. Hey, Sean, I'm so impressed with you. I think I heard you say on the Porter podcast you had a husband, boyfriend. Nope. No. I'm a married man to a woman. But, I don't know if you were trolling. If you did, that's kind of funny, though. And if not, I'm happy to clear that up for you. But I'm laughing at it. If you were trolling, it's kind of funny to me. Yeah, Jeremy Rogers again. Sup, Sean? Did you ever fight? I had 3 amateur fights, 06, 07. I went 2-1, and that was it for me. How's life in Mexico? I never got to leave the United States, but my wife's side of the family is all from Mexico. León in Guanajuato, and also in the city, Distrito Federal. Yeah, Mexico City. That's what. So I do got peoples in Mexico on my wife's side of the family. So, hey Sean, question: does Sean Porter honestly hate Triple G and Canelo? So desperately wants the Canelo GGG fight to get canceled. I just think that Sean just wanting to see Canelo fight a different fight, and Sean's embellishing to make a point. He doesn't. I don't think he really cares either way that much whether that fight happens or not. I just think, like a lot of fans, he'd rather see the PBC fights. And no, not just because Sean used to fight on PBC. Those just are kind of, at least to most American fans, the more lucrative fights. They are to me too. They are to me too. Charlo and Benavidez were the fights I wanted to see all along. But Sean, to clear it up, and I'm not just saying this, because I like Sean and that's my friend, but he doesn't really, hate on anybody. He's just making points sometimes. Sometimes he feels something and he speaks on it. But push comes to shove, Sean is the type of person to give you, shirt off his back and never wants to see anything bad happen to any of his fellow fighters. That's really just the case there. Although I'm sure, personal feelings of, competitiveness, animosity may occur sometimes with guys that have been around his division or whatever. But I think push comes to shove, he's just got a good heart and wishes the best for these guys. But, sometimes he feels what he feels and speaks on it. Let's see here. No, it's not. Sean A. Harris. No, I was not trolling. Let's see here. Are you the voice behind the interviews? This is my first time seeing. I am the voice behind some of the interviews at FightHype. We got a lot of people here. Got the founder and owner BT. We've had great people come through here before. My man Luis Sandoval. Even guys like so many. My man Ace. Percy Crawford. And right now we got guys like Ron Goodall holding it down. Vilify Media. Nick Noonan out there in Australia, who will be getting us post-fight press conference footage. Might even be live directly after my round by round. So, but yeah, I'm the voice of some of them. Someone asked, "Who's my GOAT?" I'm gonna shock you with a I'm going to shock you with a crazy name for my GOAT. Sugar Ray Robinson. I know. I threw everybody for a curveball here. Sugar Ray Robinson. The perfect boxer puncher. The guy with one of the greatest jabs ever. Knockout power in both hands. Blazing hand speed. Great size. 5'11", almost 6 feet at 147, 160. Someone, perhaps I hear a voice out there saying he was a little chinny, but never mind. Great chin. Great chin. Yes, great chin. And if you dropped him, he was like Juan Manuel Marquez. He'd get up and beat the shit out of you. But I think his record in his prime was something like 130 wins and 1 loss, and the only loss was to Jake LaMotta, who he beat 5 times. So I think Floyd Mayweather has his claim. Muhammad Ali, Henry Armstrong, maybe even a Joe Louis for for being the originator and just being so dominant in his era, being such a great fighter pound for pound. But yeah, the names I think of, I gotta put Mayweather in there objectively. I know the poster's right behind me, but I love Floyd, but he's not one of my favorites of my favorites. He's one of my favorites in my, dozen or so top 20. He makes it, but maybe not top 10. So I'm not saying it as a fanboy, but just we can fairly talk about when he fought them, but the names themselves on the resume, it's such a sparkling resume. If you take out any circumstance about was this guy at his peak or not or whatever, but if you just look at the names themselves on the box rec, it's as an impressive array of names on a record as you'll see on just about any fighter. So him being 50-0 with the caliber of opposition, I'll go back and forth with this, sometimes with my beloved editor and founder of the site, was De La Hoya was the WBC champ and would have beaten Antonio Margarita or Miguel Cotto that night, but was he the De La Hoya that beat Vargas? I don't know about that, but with all that stuff considered, Mayweather's on that short list of greatest fighter of all time discussion. Muhammad Ali, Henry Armstrong for being, champ in 3 different divisions. Some people would put Duran there. Some people might even put Pacquiao there just for the number of divisions. Muhammad Ali has to be there, but yeah, it's in the end, I'm gonna put Ray Robinson at number 1 because he is still the perfect boxer puncher, just the perfect boxer puncher. So that's who I got at number 1. So for here, No Rivera said, "Hey Drake Bell. Hello, how are you?" Jahante Missions to stick to Call of Duty. I actually play Halo, not a Call of Duty guy. Roy Jones Jr. Someone said Roy Jones Jr. could have been in the top. If Roy would have retired after beating Tarver in that first fight, he would have been in the discussion for greatest fighter of all time. If he would have just walked away after that win, but so. All right, here we go. Aston Palete is in the ring now. We are set to get ready for this co-main event action. Jason Maloney going to come to the ring now as really the A side tonight, fighting at home in the co-main event. He's long been one of Australia's best fighters. Liam Paro, a good undefeated super lightweight, junior welterweight, also a top Australian fighter, not fighting on the card tonight, but another one of the top Aussies. Sky Nicholson, from Australia in women's boxing, had a win earlier today in Matchroom, on the Matchroom card on DAZN. She's looking like a very good boxer, good southpaw, kind of like a female Billie Joe Saunders. So here comes Jason Maloney to the ring now. His second fight in less than 60 days. Pretty impressive for today's era where most people fight twice in 12 months. He's fighting twice in less than 2 months. So shout out to Jason Maloney getting quick turnaround and getting back on this card. Maloney went 7 rounds with Inoue, which is better than a good amount of Inoue's opponents could say, not named Donaire. A lot of Inoue's opponents didn't make it 7 rounds. So Jason Maloney, as far as the 20 professional fights Inoue's had, maybe one of the more competitive guys. He is a top flight, top 10 bantamweight, no question about that. And this is for 2 versions of the WBC and the WBO bantamweight championship. Obviously not the world title at stake, but winning this fight would put Jason Maloney back in good contention to maybe get a rematch with Inoue, or if Donaire can pull off the upset in a couple days. By the way, we'll be live for that too. We'll be doing a live round by round for that rematch on ESPN between Inoue and Donaire. Boricuas Porahi asked, what do you think about Xander Zayas? I like Xander Zayas. I like his heavy hands. I like his offense. I like his balance. He doesn't have the fastest hands in the world, but he's good, steady, and composed, patient, but not too patient in terms of activity. Patient in terms of he's already looking like he's learning how not to follow guys and learning how to cut off the ring. Patient in terms of learning already to invest in the body and not just go winging it for the knockout right away. Although he's been learning, that's something he's still learning at such a young age. I think he's 21 now, about to be 21, if not 21. But I like that he's patient, but still letting those hands go while being patient. Heavy hands, great size for that 54 division. And again, not the fastest guy, but good timing and good patience, and looks like he's developing the right tools for his style. His style is going to be a come forward guy who has to invest in the body, cut the ring off, and those are the things he's developing right now. I really like Xander Zayas. I think that Puerto Rico has their guy. I think they're in good hands, and they have their guy now. They haven't had their guy since Cotto retired, so they're good to go. And Cotto makes the Hall of Fame in next week. In Canastota, makes the International Boxing Hall of Fame. FightHype will be on hand for that. I'll be there. I'll be in upstate for the Hall of Fame. Ryan Garcia needs to fight Tank. And 3 Pumps says Loma's best footwork, hands down. I think Ryan Garcia could use another. I think that Ryan could use a little more seasoning. I think Ryan is a fight, maybe 2 fights away from actually being ready for Tank. And it's good for him to just get back in the ring against Fortuna, and that he didn't wait 6, 7, 8 months to get back in that ring after beating Tego. But I think another fight after Fortuna to give himself the best chance of winning that fight. And then as for saying Lomachenko has the best footwork, Lomachenko has great footwork and a footwork unto his own, but there's a flaw in his footwork in that he can't punch going backwards. He doesn't counterpunch off the back foot. He doesn't really fight off the back foot. His offense comes side to side, stepping around laterally and going forward. So there is a bit of a flaw in Lomachenko's footwork, but it's unique and it's unto his own, So, but here we go with Maloney and Palette in round 1. Maloney stepping around to his left. And good left hook by Palette as Maloney traded left hands there, but Palette's left hook again. Like I said, these Filipino fighters, they may have a few losses sometimes, but they're usually very ballsy and they carry with them punching power and some explosiveness. And already Maloney's face is a little reddened by the left hand of Palette. Palette landing a couple left hands early and doesn't look intimidated by the guy who's supposed to have the higher pedigree in there right now. Good right hand over the top by Palette too, over Maloney's jab. Palette shooting a left uppercut through the guard, and nice left hook though by Jason Maloney just a second. 1-2 by Palette and Maloney blocking it, moving backwards. Good jab through the center by Jason Maloney, taking little steps to his left. Palette on his front foot. Center ring right here for both fighters. Palette shooting a jab and Maloney catching it. High guard for both guys right now. Maloney really keeping that high guard. Again, Maloney's face just a little red already by some of those heavy shots in the first minute. Good right hand by Maloney off the jab. Lands with Palette along the ropes as Maloney stepped forward there. Maloney coming forward now. Good left hook to the body, and that makes Palette nod at him. Good left hook to the body by Palette now. Stuck it in from far out, and then a right hand over the top of Maloney's jab. 1-2 by Palette, but Maloney blocking it and shooting a hard left hook to the body, and then a straight jab. Nice left hook to the body again. Oh, hard right hand by Maloney. Good work by Maloney. Little less than a minute now in round one. Good action in round one. Good jab to the body by Maloney, and he gets away from the uppercut. Another good jab by Maloney now to the head. Maloney working his way back into this round really well right now. Good jab again by Maloney. Good hook to the body by Maloney up close. Another good jab by Maloney. Maloney stepping to the side and coming forward a little bit now. Some solid footwork by Maloney, coming forward, backwards, and stepping around. Good right hand by Maloney off a touch jab to the body, and then he sweeps underneath a right hand coming back his way. 10 seconds left. This was Palette's round, but Maloney is taking it now in the last minute. Good right hand by Maloney again. Better defense by Maloney down this last minute too, moving his head better and getting his hands up. Good last strong minute by Jason Maloney there. That got him the round. Palette, the underdog, was winning that round, but Maloney kind of stepped in a few times, got a good left hook to the body, and then landed a couple of good right hands off a touch jab, just landed some good hard shots. Palette landed a good left uppercut a couple times in the first minute or so to redden Maloney's face, but Maloney, sharper jab, better footwork, and placed in some nice sharp shots there to win round one. Let's see what you guys got in the chat. Who do I think will win a fight? I think. Who do I think will win the big fight? Says FuzzBuzz49. I got Haney. I do think, I think one day he's going to be a welterweight. Kambosos is a true lightweight. I think Haney is kind of like Mayweather and De La Hoya at his age is fighting at lightweight, but his real destiny's welterweight. And I think he's the bigger kid. If both fighters exhaust their skill sets and come out and fight to the best of their capabilities, I think Haney should win. So I think I got Haney winning this fight. I think he can out jab George, and then when George starts to open it up more, I think that Devin should be able to counterpunch well as Kambosos gets if not desperate, just has that sense of urgency as he's getting outboxed a little bit early. And if Devin just keeps his composure and is at his best, he can take advantage of George pressing him as the fight goes on. But and then again, being the bigger guy with longer arms, even at times step in and impose his size and his will, as if he can weaken George and touch him up, disarm him. So, but I could I don't count out Kambosos either. He has fast hands, fast feet, big balls. So I don't count him out at all to win the fight. But I got Haney. Definitely got Haney. Good action, by the way, in this first minute plus of Maloney and Palette. Both guys busting away on the phone booth range with uppercuts. As I've given this action halfway through the second round now, it's been good two-way action. Good body work by Jason Maloney this round. Good left uppercut there by Palette, though. Maloney feeling that one, but not backing out, staying in range, keeping his hands up, fires off a right hand. Little left hook getting around the guard for Maloney. Palette blocking a left hook and comes with a left hand to the body. Maloney with a better left hand to the body in return, though. Palette, again, shooting that left uppercut, trying to land it hard, trying to get a home run with it. And Maloney's got to watch out for that left uppercut. Good left hook to the body by Maloney. Good right hand on the inside by Maloney. Maloney, another short right hand on the inside as he shoves Pelete back. Left hook to the body by Maloney on the inside. Another left hook to the body by Maloney on the inside. That one was a little low by Maloney. Eats a left uppercut by Pelete after shooting a left hook to the body. That was a little low. Left hook up top by Maloney. Right uppercut by Pelete lands, though. Those uppercuts are getting through for Pelete. Good body work by Maloney, though. Good left hook to the body by Pelete. These guys have fought on phone booth range the last minute and a half of the round. That was good stuff. I give the edge to Maloney. Thought he worked the body a little bit better. He was the one staying on the front foot on the inside. He was the one nudging Pelete back, not the other way around. So 20-18, Jason Maloney, good action there. He's got to watch out for those uppercuts from the Filipino. Those are landing, but good body work by Jason Maloney. Thought he's up 20-18. Good action in this co-main event right now. Let's see here. Damn, I didn't. Good left hook. I'm going to get his number. I do think. Let's just, in between rounds here, see what's going on here. Hey, let me spam. Your hair is so 90s. Oh, my God. 90s. I've heard every decade when it comes to my hair. I've heard people say it's 70s, 80s, 90s. Yeah. Let's see here. All right, Haney looks so drained at the weight. Well, again, he's a big guy. He's a big lightweight. He's going to be a welterweight one day, so he's going to look a little drained at the weigh-ins at 135. But when you're young, that's when you can best get away with that weight cut. Good right uppercut by Pelete. Like I was saying last round, those uppercuts are getting in, and that right uppercut shook Jason Maloney up to start round 3. Maloney getting his hands up and blocking what's coming after the uppercut, but he was buzzed for a second there by that uppercut. Good jab by Maloney. But Pelete knows he got to him a little bit. Good left hook by Maloney. Pelete, not the most defensively responsible, but has some thud in his hands. Good uppercut. Good uppercuts by Pelete. That's a shot that he can hurt Maloney with if Maloney doesn't get his head out of the way of him. Good right hand by Maloney. Pelete firing back, banging away on Maloney's high guard. Good jab by Maloney. Maloney staying inside, banging with Pelete, not boxing. Maybe he should mix it up a little bit, pick his spots to stay in there, and box at times and bang at times, but he's opted to just bang away with this Filipino. Good left hook, little touch left hook to the head by Jason Maloney, and then he misses with the left hook to the body. But a good jab by Maloney, shoots a right hand through the center, sweeps a right hand. Pelete bangs his gloves to say, come on, after eating a couple right hands. Good right hand to the body by Pelete. 1-2 by Jason Maloney. Staying on the front foot. Good jab by Maloney. Definitely got the better jab between these two. They trade right hands. Maloney's face not holding up as well as Pelete's. But Pelete bleeding a little bit from the mouth. Little blood from his upper lip. Good right hand by Maloney again. Maloney bouncing around a little bit. Uses his jab. Stepping around. Now Maloney boxing just a little bit. Minute left in the third round. Good 1-2 by Maloney. Down goes Pelete. And once Maloney backed out, didn't keep phone booth fighting, used that jab, 1-2 on the outside, and down went Pelete. Pelete smiling, but that was a beautiful 1-2 knockdown by Jason Maloney. Beautiful knockdown by Jason Maloney. Right hand lands for Maloney, touch with the jab, letting the combinations go. Down goes Pelete. And is that it? That looks to be it. The referee has stopped this fight. It's a TKO in the third round for Jason Maloney. Aston Pelete is smiling, but the ref calls it a night. And Maloney was staying on the phone booth, started off boxing a little bit, but then decided, let me just stay in there on the inside, try to suffocate him. Worked the body really well with his left hook to the body, threw a really nice left hook to the body on the inside, ate some uppercuts, but ultimately kept on top of Aston, started hitting him with right hands, and then he decided, you know what, let me back out a little bit. Let me use this jab a little bit. And after about 15, 20 seconds of that, The straight right hand came down the pipe on the outside, and that was it for Palette. And that's it. Third round TKO for Jason Maloney. This lines him up, you know, to get him ready for maybe a rematch with Inoue, but he's just simply met his match in that matchup. He can't phone booth fight him or outbox him. You know, Inoue is just a different level than Jason Maloney, who's a good fighter, a very solid bantamweight, but is 2 or 3 levels away from Inoue, who's one of the best, not just bantamweights, but pound for pound. But still impressive, because this fighter, Palette, went 9 rounds with Kazuto Ioka, who, you know, in publications like Ring Magazine has made it, you know, all the way on the top 10 pound for pound in some people's rankings. And Ioka took 9 rounds to knock out Palette. So Maloney knocks him out in 3 rounds. That was a fun fight while it lasted. I thought Maloney did enough to win the first 2 rounds, and then he knocks him out in the third. Good stuff by Jason Maloney. Here it is again, that replay. Nice short right hand. Maloney got just a little bit of distance so that he didn't have to keep sweeping the right hand on the inside, didn't keep throwing the left hook to the body. Gets a little bit of distance, throws the 1-2 down the pipe, and that was it. That was it to end the fight. So let's see here. Maloney just beat his opponent. Did you get upset, Drake, about the hair comments and stuff like? No. I do have to call the fight after all. It can't just all be us going back and forth about my 90s hair and stuff like that. We still gotta call the action. So when Jason Maloney lands a 1-2 down the pipe, the hair talk and stuff like that, you know, has to pause for a minute, and we gotta call the action. You know, I'm sorry to say, for those of you grown men out there who love to discuss my hair. But here we go. Maloney is a good name. It's in my family tree. Site. Yeah. All right. So now we close in on the fight we're all waiting for today. The Australian people were nice enough to even put this on in the daytime of their day so that we could still get it on prime time in America. Usually it's the other way around. If it's in England, you know, we got to catch it at the time of day they'll be watching the fight at. So, but it has that big fight feel. It almost, since the fight isn't in the United States, it almost kind of reminds me of Lomachenko versus Lopez, where it was this big fight nobody in the States could attend. Yeah, it was in Las Vegas, but because of the pandemic, nobody could actually go to the fight. So it was this big fight on ESPN. We were all tuning in for. The boxing world was buzzing and couldn't wait, but none of us could actually go to the fight. And that's kind of like, for me anyways, Haney Kambosos. So looking forward to it. Danny Jones said 2 cab drivers were fighting. Oh, Danny Jones, don't say that. Don't do Jason Maloney like that. He fought for the title, fought for the unified titles against the man. Actually, I think he was world champion. He brought a belt to that unification, I believe. Yeah, I believe either the WBA or the IBF, Maloney brought to the table. Yeah, I know his brother Andrew won a title when he when he beat Franco. Or no, he was a champion, and then he lost it to Franco, and then controversially didn't beat him in the rematch, and then lost to him in the third fight. So his brother was a world champion. Jason's fought, you know, as far as bantamweights go, the best. I know you're kidding, but we have airtime to fill, Danny. We have airtime to fill until we get to Devin Haney. So come on, bro. That fight wasn't an elite bout. I didn't say it was an elite bout. It just wasn't 2 cab drivers. That's all. Tell for president, said Alex Learns. Thank you, Alex Learns. Thank you. You the truth. You the truth for showing some love, man. Thank you. Who won? Jason Maloney won. 3rd round TKO. Shogun of Miami. Sean, who should Emmanuel Navarrete fight? I like a move up, especially so the dream scenario for Emmanuel Navarrete and for Oscar Valdez would be if Stevenson wanted to move up for a big opportunity at lightweight, although I know Joe Cordina won the IBF title by 2nd round knockout today on a bomb of a right hand in England against Kenichi Ogawa. And so now that all of a sudden Shakur has a fight, a unification with some luster against Joe Cordina. But if Shakur were to move up to 135, the ideal scenario for Navarrete, and Top Rank would probably like this too, is Shakur would vacate the WBO, and then Navarrete could vacate his WBO featherweight title, move up to 130, and fight Valdez for the vacant WBO title. That's probably, the dream scenario if you're Navarrete's team. I like that fight for Navarrete. The money is at 30, and the money fight at 26 with Mark Magsayo, that Philippines versus Mexico rivalry. Unfortunately, Magsayo's a PBC fighter, so we wouldn't be able to get that fight in all likelihood. So the best fight for him is at 30 with Valdez probably. And yeah, he's a 22 pounder originally, but Valdez started at 26, and Navarrete's taller than Valdez. So although Navarrete, man, he got to do some sit-ups or something, man. It's kind of soft around his midsection, and a guy like Valdez who can kill the body with that left hand, he could take advantage of that. But I like the Navarrete fight against Valdez. I like that fight. Let's see. All right. Don DKM, this guy full blown trying to look the other way. So should lost there. Paul Haig said, "Don't be completely pro Haney when you call this fight, please." Paul, being an American channel and me personally being someone who's covered Devin for 8 years, I understand your concerns. Paul, I can guarantee you there will be no bias in calling these rounds. The worst thing about me calling a live round by round is if it truly is a swing round, you might get me to be a little wishy-washy, and it'll be hard for me to call the round, and I'll just have to kind of just call it a swing round if it's a genuine swing round. But otherwise, even if it's a close round, whoever won the round won the round. Don't worry about me not calling it down the middle. We definitely will do that. So Shakur running from Navarrete, not at all. Not at all. Shakur beats Navarrete, period. So he's definitely not running from Navarrete. He likes that fight. I remember Shakur likes that fight, but I think Shakur's eyes are at becoming either undisputed at 30 or it's time for the big boys at 35. The winner of this fight, Haney and Kambosos, or fighting Lomachenko. Jaime Heritage, bruh, Americans should be supporting an American. I agree to a large degree, but me calling the fight, Jamie, not Jaime. I gotta be neutral. Otherwise, what's the point of calling the fight? But I understand your point. Let's see. Luis Gamboa, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. My dream matchup, Danny Jones again says, is Shakur versus Tank. It's a lot of people's dream matchup. That's a great fight. I don't think it'd be crazy to oversimplify it and say that Shakur they both have great technical skills, but I think Shakur is better in terms of tech. He's even a little more technically savvy than Gervonta, but Gervonta brings the explosiveness and the punching power that Shakur doesn't. So he doesn't have to bank as many rounds as Shakur if he can just catch him at some point and end the fight. And then Gervonta too, his skills are extremely good. He's so sharp, and his athleticism is so good. He's just about as fast as he is powerful. He has great hand speed too, and great coordination on all of his moves. But he doesn't throw as many punches as Shakur. Doesn't have as good a jab as Shakur, and yeah, Shakur utilizes his fundamentals a little bit more, but But Tank is a better puncher, maybe a little bit more gifted athlete than Shakur too. But Shakur's 5'7", Tank's 5'5". That's just a great fight. That's a pick'em type of fight. But it's a fight that the business doesn't line up with just yet, because on the Tank side, they've said time and time again, they're waiting to make. That's why they did try to make Ryan, because they felt Ryan, and Ryan is the greenest out of the big names at 35. That doesn't hurt either. But Ryan, in their eyes, and measuring social media following and stuff, he brought enough to the table in terms of ticket sales and pay-per-view revenue that they were willing to make the Ryan Garcia fight and try to. But when it comes to Shakur and Haney, they feel, and they're right, that there's still work to be done to get to Tank's level as a pay-per-view draw. And you don't make a fight like that prematurely. You make that fight when it's time. This is how they feel, and I definitely follow that logic. I'm like you guys. I wish I could just throw them in the ring when I want to see it. But, the reality of the business of boxing says that for Shakur and Tank to happen, Shakur's got to build his profile a little bit closer to where Tank's is at in terms of the ticket sales and the pay-per-view, so that then that fight can actually happen. So let's see. Who do you think punches harder, Kambosos or Linares? It's a good question. That's a good question. I'll give the edge to Kambosos. I think because Linares did start at 26. Linares has always had a good blend of speed and power. He's always had power. Devin, from sparring him as a teenager years before they fought, always told me he punches hard and that he was one of the hardest punchers he had ever sparred. But I think Kambosos, being at 35 his whole career, Linares started at 26. And I think Kambosos in that 10th round against Bay, he showed a little thunder, in his hands, a little bit of, like, he has a little bit of that heavy hand. He has heavier hands, I think, than Linares. But in terms of the pop on the shot, it's pretty close. But I think he's a little heavier handed than Linares, and he's a natural lightweight, unlike Linares. So I'll give the edge to Kambosos. I think he can crack a little bit more than Linares these days. Let's see. What about Deneen Fragrance? I appreciate you doing this live play-by-play. I'm up here in Canada. I appreciate doing it for you, man. Just waiting for the main event to start, and then the actual play-by-play can start. From now, we're just chopping it up, having a little fun before main event time. But someone asked, where is it? Someone asked Crawford and Spence. I got to take Crawford because but 3 or 4 years ago when he fought Jeff Horn and his legs were fresher, I would have taken Crawford hands down. No hesitation. I'm taking all bets. Now I take Crawford in more of a 50-50-ish way. I still take Crawford, but I do think his legs have slowed down a little bit. I think Crawford is in his prime in the same way Michael Jordan was in his prime in 1998 and Kobe Bryant was in his prime in 2010. Yeah, there's still that dude. They're still on top of the mountain, but I think it's towards the end. And, he's the same age Michael was at 98, 35 years old. But I just mean still the top guy, but those bunnies, aren't what they once were. Or in his case, those legs aren't what they once were. But I think that Spence could get out to a lead. He has a better jab than Crawford. He's a little, no, he doesn't have longer arms because Crawford has abnormally long arms for being 5'8", but he's the naturally bigger guy. He has a better jab. He starts faster. And I can see Spence being up 3 or 4 rounds to zip. And then Crawford, though, once he makes the adjustment, I could see the fight, turning on a dime. And once Crawford finds his range with his counter punching, and I don't know if Spence will be able to adjust the same way Crawford will once Crawford figures out that high guard and coming behind the jab and being busy to the body and all the wonderful, fundamentally sound things Spence does. But I think once Crawford finds the angles and the distance on the counter punching, the fight could change on a dime to where Spence is winning. And then all of a sudden the fight changes on a dime. And I can see Crawford stopping him because once Crawford finds his range with his counters, nobody at welterweight's gone the distance. Nobody's gone the distance with Crawford since the summer of 2016. So he has real snap and power on his shots, even at welterweight. So I'll give the edge still to Crawford. Let's see here. Uncle Chester, I see a lot with this Uncle Chester. I'm lost as to what's happening, but I hope you guys are having fun. Roaming Nomad, it's 4 a.m. in the UK. We need some sleep. Roaming Nomad, just stay at another hour, bro. You don't even have to stay for when we talk about the fight afterwards. You know, just if you can, Roaming Nomad, keep it locked in for 1 more hour so we can call this main event of Haney Kambosos, and then we can call it a day. But Haney in the locker room got white trunks with an assortment of colors spreaded throughout. Kambosos gold trunks with white and blue trim. That white and blue's got to be referencing the flag of Greece. He has the gold Spartan head right there on the center of his trunks. Kambosos, a lot of times shadow boxing, open-handed, shadow boxing, kind of like Pacquiao, just shooting out with speed, you know, not fully sitting down on everything, but has fast hands and can put punches together when shadow boxing. Bill Haney in the locker room with Devin. Devin asking for his equipment, getting ready to be gloved up now. Huge moment for 23-year-old Devin Haney. Almost has like a bunch of splotches of like paint on his trunks, different colors, but solid color is white. White Brant gloves with red trim on the inside. Team all wearing red, and main event time is just about here. I'm excited. 8 minutes left till main event. ESPN has a counter, 7:54, 7:53. So a little under 8 minutes till main event time. So let's have a little bit more fun. You know what I'm saying? Orlando Lopez is already not impressed. He said whack fight. The fight hasn't even started yet, and Orlando Lopez says whack fight. Some fans are just that way. Dude didn't even read my super chat. My bad. Hey, AJ, where's the super chat? Where's it at? Kambosos is British. 1776, dog. Won't forget. Oh, we got the American patriotism in the house. Are you going to go? I don't think he is. I get what you mean. British. Under the crown. Under the crown, technically, I believe. I'm not always the best geopolitically, but yeah, I get your point, AJ. Under the British crown. So a little American patriotism. Come on, Australia and UK. I know you're not going out like that. Anybody wants to respond with a super chat for the UK to match fire with fire, feel free. Because America has spoken. Here we go. This is going to be a good fight, says Shogun of Miami. FightHype is the best play-by-play for boxing. I agree, Emilio 23. I agree. I'm biased, but I do agree. AJ says 100 with the American flag. See, AJ, we got you, brother. We got you. $2 well spent. We got you. Good job, as you lot say. Is that an American thing? It's not a Mark Della Rosa with the Italian name. Are you an Italian British man? My paisano. Salim Harb not playing the fight. We do not have copyright to Kambosos Haney, but we are doing this round by round, so keep it locked in, especially if you're at work and do not have access to the fight right now. The corporation. A-Side Sean. Thank you, Andrew White. What are both guys' biggest weaknesses? It's a good question because I think we haven't seen Haney work a lot in the phone booth. Most of his stuff's been mid-range, long range. Sometimes he gets touched when he shouldn't. I was talking about Tank a moment ago, who has great athleticism, and so does Haney. But certain things like their pivots, when Tank pivots out, he pivots sharp and short and compact. Sometimes that back foot for Devin when he pivots is a little slow, and Kambosos with his fast feet can exploit that. So we'll see. Sometimes Kambosos, like Pacquiao and Loma, can punch and get off to the side to the angle, and Devin, his feet will be a little slow, a little fat in turning and pivoting with him, whereas someone like Tank pivots quickly off of it. So, every fighter has flaws, and Haney has a few, obviously, still growing a lot at 23. I think his ceiling still is here, and he's still getting close, building towards it. He may not even be that close to his ceiling. Kambosos, because both Kambosos can fight going forwards and backwards. I think for Kambosos, I think as the fight goes on, especially if he gets a little fatigued, leaving that left hand at his side, although he's adept with it, he baited Lopez in, going backwards with his left hand at his side, and boom, with the right hand. But I think against Haney, who has longer arms than Lopez, throws more punches per round than Lopez, and is more comfortable leading first and not just counterpunching, I think Haney could exploit that, and you get away with that with keeping your lead hand lower when you're the more athletic and faster guy, but that might not be the case with Haney, who's as fast or might be faster than Kambosos. So there's a few flaws both guys can exploit, and not really a flaw for Kambosos, but he's the smaller guy. That's not a technical flaw, but he's full blown at lightweight, and Devin still has 2 or 3 weight classes to go through still. So if Devin is rehydrated very well, he's the bigger guy in there, I think. So we'll see. Justin Graham said, man, ain't nobody trying to hear your prediction. We trying to see the fight. Go to ESPN Plus then, my friend, if that is the case. Otherwise, if you cannot go to ESPN Plus, keep it locked in for this live round by round. Orlando Lopez says it's a sausage fest. I mean, I don't know. There could be a lot of girls in the chat. They're just chilling, kicking back, letting us do all the talking. There's ask if I watch MMA or not. No, I'm not watch MMA. Just stick to boxing. So yeah, got about 4 or 5 minutes now until main event time for this live round by round of Kambosos Haney. Part of me was looking forward to Devin having to fight kind of without anybody, with Yoel Judah, but kind of having to fight on his own, because I think one of his gifts is making adjustments on the fly, improvisation. And I was kind of looking forward to seeing what answers he was going to cook up on his own. But, now with his dad in the corner, they can stick to their game plan they drew up. But I was looking forward to that growth from him, having to get through this moment kind of on his own, but with his dad in his corner, he'll be more comfortable now. Stack Shot Bobby, thanks for commentating this fight. You got it. Go ahead, everybody. Get your final picks in the chat. Yeah, again, they're showing the weigh-in. There's just no way Kambosos is 5'9" and Devin's 5'8". It's got to be the other way around. There's no way Kambosos is taller than Haney. Haney looks an inch taller than him. He's got the longer arms, more muscular frame. But ask Tyson Fury, that shit doesn't matter sometimes in the sport. At least not at heavyweight as much. Fundura is that future champ. I like what's up, Big Tone? Shout out to Big Tone. Yeah, I like Fundura. Fundura has got to be what you call a fan favorite. I mean, okay, tail of the tape. Now they both got him at 5'9". Haney with a 3-inch reach advantage. Kambosos gets 9 punches landed on him around. Devin only 8. So one fewer punch. The lightweight average is 16 punches. So both guys twice as good as your average lightweights when it comes to their defense. Both guys have fast hands and good feet. So no big surprise that the stats show that both guys have good defenses. Again, they both have good feet and fast hands. So AJ, shout out. You give solid insight on the show. And then what's this? Fundora, the future champ. Nobody is saying his name. 6'7", 135. Dana, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. We really appreciate that. Hate to correct you, but he is 154, not a 135 pounder, but he damn sure is 6'7", and he's definitely he might be 6'6", but whatever. But he's definitely a problem. Fundora definition of a fan favorite. If you don't enjoy watching his fights, you just don't like action, you know. But some of the best uppercuts in the game from Sebastian Fundora. I think in all likelihood, he beats every super welterweight not named Jermell Charlo. I think Charlo's the one guy that beats him in the division. I really like Tim Tszyu. I like a couple of 154 pounders, but I think Fundora overwhelms all of them. He's just too big, too relentless. But Charlo, at just about 6 feet tall, has very good size himself, good length himself. And I think the moments you saw Lubin have where he almost knocked him out, I think Charlo takes it a step further and does knock him out in those moments where he finds the right time to explode. And I think Charlo wins that fight. But other than that, I think Fundora is a bad motherfucker. He's got to be one of the fan favorites in the sport today. And he's probably the toughest fight at 154 right now for Jermell Charlo, barring Spencer Crawford moving up. And then AJ, thank you again, brother. Let's see. Bam versus Gallo. I think the young bull is on the rise, man. I think the young bull's on the rise. I think Bam Rodriguez is poised to take over that division. I think inevitably him and Chocolatito will have a big fight on DAZN in California, and that I think that'll be a passing of the torch moment. Chocolatito's hot right now, but I think inevitably he's going to pass the torch to that young man, Bam Rodriguez. Bam will get terrific seasoning as he did in the Quadras fight by fighting Swissaket Soravisai. That's going to be excellent for not only his resume, but his development. After that, maybe he fights Gallo. After that, he's got to fight Chocolatito. That's got to be the passing of the torch fight right there. So definitely like Bam Rodriguez. You know, Charlo eats too many shots. Charlo's ducking. Charlo eats too many shots. Charlo has shown, though, that he can sharpen up and slip along the ropes. He can have good defense along the ropes. He has a power jab. And Charlo, remember his nickname's Iron Man. He's shown he has a good chin. So he's more durable than Lubin, punches harder than Lubin. To be fair to Fundora, you get better from the kind of fights he had against Lubin. So Fundora will be an improved product from the Lubin fight. But I just think those moments Lubin had, they're twice as bad with Charlo, and Charlo exploits it and knocks him out at some point in the fight. I think that fight is a tougher version of than the Castaño fight we saw a couple weeks ago. Fundora makes life a lot more hellacious, goes longer into the fight than Castaño, wins more rounds on the cards, but I think Charlo at some point would knock him out. Let's see. What time is it fighting? Right now, national anthems are going down. National anthem of Australia is happening. Yo, I paid for a question. Can you answer it? I didn't see it, your plug. Where's it at? I'm checking everyone. Let me see here. Your plug. Don't see it, your plug. Sorry, brother. You could just ask your question if you want. And I'll just answer it. Is it Charlo fighting Maciek Zaleski? He is. He's fighting him June 18th. I actually interviewed Jamal about that fight yesterday. Check it out on the site after tonight's fight if you guys want. Yeah, he's fighting Zaleski. Zaleski's never been knocked out. He went 12 rounds with Jacobs when Jacobs was firing on all cylinders. Went 12 rounds with Boo Boo a couple years back. Keeps his hands up, comes forward. Not a little guy. That only has 10 or 11 knockouts, but has solid pop and knows how to fight. You know, beat Gabe Rosado a couple years back, and you know, far from the opponent we want to see Jermall Charlo in. We want to see Plant Benavidez Canelo, guys like that, or at least, you know, a Triple G unification. But Zaleski is no bum. He is a legit top 10 middleweight. And the question in that fight, can Charlo be the first guy to knock him out? Because if he can knock him out, that would say something, because Jacobs and Andrade at their best couldn't do that. So, but and it's you know, it's a little bit of a trap fight, because guys like Zaleski are good enough to where if you're bullshitting in the gym and overlooking your opponent and not particularly motivated, you could have a tough fight on your hands. So for Charlo, it's a fight where he's got to stay sharp and keep his eyes towards bigger fights in the future, and use this as, you know, a stepping stone towards them, and keep his blade sharp. Someone said Haney coming out to DMX. I don't have audio on, so I wouldn't be able to hear it. What song by DMX is he coming out to, chat? Or is it, is it What's My Name? Top Rank always plays that. They'll play What's My Name, and then the fighter comes out to his actual song. I remember I saw Devin come out with E40 in Philadelphia to Choices. That was dope. Lots of fans now in the Marvel Stadium in Australia. The place is packed, not packed, it's filled up a lot more than it was earlier. I'm hearing they're going to have over 40,000 there tonight. That's about, for perspective, that's about the same amount of people that were there when Errol Spence knocked out your Dennis Ugas a month and a half ago in Dallas. There's Devin's family. He's got his girlfriend, stepmother, his little brother, or his little sister right there. So Devin Haney in this fight, coming with Yoel Judah and his father, Bill Haney, no Ben Davison. Yoel Judah, this is, if he does it tonight, this would be the second time. He'd be the only trainer who has gone into another opponent's backyard to win an undisputed fight as a challenger. Yoel Judah, 17 years ago, almost, you know, over 17 years ago, 2005, took his son Zab Judah into St. Louis. Corey Spinks was walking out with Nelly and all the business, over 20,000 seats sold, and went into St. Louis, and his son Zab Judah knocked out Corey Spinks to become undisputed welterweight champion. 17 years later, he's in Devin Haney's corner for the undisputed lightweight championship into the opponent's backyard again. So Yoel Judah's been here before. Bill Haney hasn't been here before, but a very smart man in the boxing, a guy smarter than he gets credit for, with his X's and O's in there, with his game plan. And that's who Devin Haney brings in with him to the corner on the road tonight in Australia for this undisputed lightweight championship fight. Let me check that super chat. Dana McWhite, who has Charlo fought? 2016, last time he got a knockout. Charlo wasn't that sharp this fight. Yeah, against Macias Montiel. Thank you, Dana. He didn't, against Macias Montiel, he didn't look that good. He won just about every round and hurt Montiel in almost every round. But Montiel was busting him up in a couple of rounds with uppercuts, hitting him with the kind of combinations that if he's in that kind of form, he's going to get hit by those same shots against a Benavidez or a Canelo, and it's going to be big trouble. But I think that, look, when you keep having, if you watch the Derevianchenko fight, Charlo was on his P's and Q's and didn't lose a lot of rounds and beat Derevianchenko better than Jacobs or Golovkin did. That was a pay-per-view fight. That was a fight where he was more up for it, and you could see it in his performance. He checked a lot of boxes in the Derevianchenko fight. He showed a great jab. He moved his head and had good defense, showed the power, dropped Derevianchenko, and then back against Montiel and against other fighters like Brandon Adams and even Dennis Hogan before he knocked him out, because he knocked out Dennis Hogan. So I don't believe so he has had a knockout since 2016, but basically fighting against guys that aren't on his level. So if you fight a guy like that time and time again, sometimes your level will start to drop. But the Derevianchenko fight showed when he's on his P's and Q's, he's still an elite fighter. At least I thought. And I still think that's the case for Charlo. And as for who he's beaten, He beat J-Rock. J-Rock went on to become Unified Ring Magazine champ. He beat Trout, who was a veteran at that point, but is a good fighter. And he beat Derevianchenko. So, not a sparkling resume, but he's beaten some decent guys as well. So Charlo's a really good boxer puncher. He can counterpunch. He has power. He's a really good athlete. So I'm been dying since 2016, like yourself, to see him in the big fights. But once he's in them, I think he can win or lose any of them. He's a live fighter against Canelo or Benavidez or Plant. Would I say Kambosos is the new Charlie Zelenov? No, absolutely not. There's only one Charlie Zelenov. No, George Kambosos is legit. He's the lightweight champion of the world, whether undisputed or not undisputed, but he is the legit lightweight champion of the world. I get it. Some of the bravado throughout the week has made some people cringe. I don't think the art of war. I think the art of war thing is questionable, but no, Kambosos is a G, and he's the lightweight champion. And now here comes Devin Haney to the ring. Already got a good sweat worked up, Vaseline, so not coming in dry. But here comes Devin. Pulls his hood back, huge smile for Devin Haney. Remember, Devin's nickname is Devin the Dream Haney, and here it is. The dream is here for him. People knew about him as a highly touted amateur, fought guys like Ryan Garcia 6 times in the amateurs, had a lot of hype coming into the pros, reportedly held his own and then some against guys like Floyd Mayweather as a teenager, as a 19-year-old, went doghouse sparring with Tank Davis, and Tank Davis was the first man to get out of the ring when Devin was a teenager. So Devin, again, viral videos sparring with Sean Porter at 15, made a big name for himself by earning a big reputation by sparring the best fighters in the world as a teenager, then has been undefeated as a pro, had some competitive rounds with Diaz, had some tough late rounds with Linares, but ultimately won 8 or 9 rounds against both of those guys and was dominant in a number of rounds against both, 27-0, despite being on the road against Kambosos in his hometown where the fans will cheer for everything Kambosos lands or doesn't land. He was still the favorite tonight at the books in Las Vegas because of all that pedigree I just said, because of the 27-0, because of the schooling from Floyd Mayweather Sr., Floyd Mayweather Jr., Roger Mayweather, Mike McCallum, Roy Jones, even Mike Tyson coming through his gym and showing him things as a little boy at the Hit Factory in Las Vegas, the gym his father owned. So this is a culmination of a lot for Devin Haney right now. In a robe with, it looks like splotches of paint everywhere from a brand called Gallery Department, but that's it. Haney with his father who made it last second. Looks like he has a replacement cut man in there too, because his cut man, Bob Ware, was at the last moment not allowed to come to the fight due to some complications with his visa. So no Ben Davison, no Bob Ware, but father Bill Haney in the corner. And now here comes the unified and even already in some people's eyes, the undisputed lightweight champion, George Kambosos. But all disputes go to an end tonight. In about an hour from now, we will know who by far is the best we will know who the undisputed king at 135 pounds, who all roads lead through. Tank Davis is the pay-per-view star of the division, but we're about to find out who's the undisputed champion of the division right now between Kambosos and Haney. Kambosos, Australian flag behind him, Greek flag behind him, the Ring Magazine belt, a WBC belt, IBF, WBA, WBO, all 4 belts being held up by his entourage, by his team, his father yelling things at him, psyching him up. George seems to be taking in one last prayer, his back to the camera. Here we are. What is it? I'm excited to call this fight, man. I just want to get it going, get it started. Can't wait to call the action. Thank you, everybody all around the world for joining us for this round by round, especially for you folks at work who would be watching the fight, but you got your headphones in, handling your business. Thank you so much for joining us and allowing me to call this round by round for you. Really appreciate it. Disgusting decisions happen in Australia. Just ask Pacquiao. I always thought that Pacquiao Horn decision was overstated, and that Horn got off to a good start in that first round, and may have deserved the decision after all. So I never thought that fight was as big a robbery as people made it out to be. But here comes George Kambosos, really, really hyped up now, coming to the ring. Body looks good. He had to cut weight on a second attempt to make weight. Very unexpected, but his body does look good. He doesn't look drained. Coming to the ring with a lot of swagger is George Kambosos. Coming in fiery. Here he comes quickly, swagger into the ring. Jogging to the ring now on his sides, and here he goes, talking to himself. Fireworks going off throughout the arena. And it looks to be about the same type of crowd Errol Spence was able to draw back home in his home in Dallas. Oh, I got my son on the stream. What's up? This is my Larry Merchant tonight. I'm Jim Lampley, and this is my Larry Merchant. So, yes. All right. Go ahead. Daddy got to work. So Kambosos coming to the ring now, making his way up the steps. I'll see you later, Baba. So I apologize for that, everybody. Yep. I know a lot of you got kids out there as well. Kambosos in the ring now, obviously really fired up for this fight. Insisted that this had to happen in Australia. And partly it's true what he says. He could have came home and just had a homecoming title defense. Maybe he wouldn't be able to sell the amount of seats he sold tonight against an opponent not like Haney or Lomachenko. But Kambosos, at the end of the day, there was so much talk in this lightweight division about is Haney going to fight Lopez? Is Garcia going to fight Lopez? Is Tank going to fight Haney? And there was so much talk. And it turns out Kambosos has fought Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney back to back. Who else can say something like that? So props to Kambosos, win or lose tonight. And Michael Buffer now getting ready to do these instructions or these introductions. Appreciate that, Igor. No worries about my son. Thank you. Handsome kiddo. I appreciate that, guys. Appreciate you guys not tripping when my little Leonardo came through. So, but Kambosos is fired up, and Bill Haney holding his hands up like that to Kambosos, talking at him, now pointing at his chin, talking a lot to the corner, and George's father talking as well. The fathers talking their shit in the corners. Devin talking as well. Devin is talking his talk in his corner. Kambosos is swaggering. Devin is confident in talking. Jim Kambosos is talking. Bill Haney's talking. And you got two confident fighters in these corners, fired up. And, I don't think anyone's particularly expected a firefight tonight. I think we expect high-speed chess. That's what I expect. But you never know. These two guys are really fired up. We might get more of a firefight than we were expecting with all this swaggering from George in the corner and Devin fired up and talking. We'll see. But I expect this to be a really high-caliber, high-speed chess match tonight. George already a little red around his nose for some reason without the fight starting, but a little reddened around his nose in the corner. George now mouthing something to Haney, Haney giving him a look back. But both guys talking and looking really confident in the corner, and it's a big fight feel in Australia. Go. And there's the Let's Get Ready to Rumble from Michael Buffer. We are just about time, baby. We got people with black eyes shadow boxing in the audience. This crowd is hyped. Haney getting introduced now, wearing his red snack shirt. He is a minus 190 favorite, so practically a 2-to-1 favorite, despite being the challenger and being completely on the road. A lot of people are worried about the judges tonight for Haney. Haney looking ripped up and solid. He's rehydrated to what looks like maybe as much as 150 pounds, but definitely 145 plus. Haney shadow boxing, double cutthroat in the corner. And he is hyped and ready to go, looking solid at 35. Kambosos, not as physically as big a guy as Haney, not as long. Pacing back and forth in the ring, fired up with that Spartan mentality. Pacing back and forth is Kambosos, 28 years old now. Again, despite being at home and being the reigning unified champ and the top dog in the division, he is almost a 2-to-1 underdog at home against Devin Haney. And there's the final intro from Michael Buffer as Kambosos kisses his gloves in the crowd. Greek flags, Greece flags in the audience, pumped up, jumping up and down in unison, chanting for George Kambosos, so the home field advantage, which George was so keen on getting, he's got it tonight. Meant a lot to him, and he got it tonight. Haney and George, a little bit of a feisty gloves touch there in the center of the ring. Kambosos' wife looking worried. Haney's family looking pumped up. And I'm hyped to call this fight, guys. Here we are on FightHype Live. Time to call Kambosos Haney for the undisputed lightweight championship from Melbourne. Who will be the undisputed king of the division at the end of the night? We are set to find out. Hearts racing. Boxing fans all around the world watching this fight from both coasts of the world. From the Pacific Rim to United States, here we go. Round one. Both fighters center ring. Haney motioning his left hand around, sometimes keeping it around his head, sometimes dropping it down to his waist, moving it around. Shoots a jab. 20 seconds in, neither guy landing anything yet, just starting. Haney shooting a jab, a little short, another jab by Haney. Not landing it yet, but trying to establish his distance behind that jab. Kambosos backs out of range. Good jab by Haney. That one landed a little bit for Haney. Haney expected to have an advantage with his jab. Now Kambosos shoots a jab. He's short with it. Kambosos likes to shoot that waist jab, shoot it from the hip, that up jab. Haney, good jab by Haney. Kambosos comes back with a jab, but Devin able to catch it with his right hand. That was a good jab by Haney a second ago. 1 minute into it, Haney with the edge in the first minute off his jab. Good jab by Haney there. Kambosos staying in front of Haney now. Haney changing his looks a little bit, then shoots the jab. Another jab by Haney. Good jab by Haney. Third jab landing well there for Devin Haney. Good job by Haney, but Kambosos lets go of a 1-2-3, and Devin did eat the left hand on that 1-2-3. Kambosos showing good timing and speed there. Tried to explode in combination off of Haney's rhythm. Good explosiveness there by George. Good jab by Haney. Nice, long, stiff jab by Devin Haney. Another jab lands for Haney, and then he clinches George as George tries to explode up. George with a little look on his face after eating a couple of jabs. Little look of concern by Kambosos. 1 minute left in round one. Haney winning the round off his jab so far. Haney using his jab again. Long pole jab, not pawing with it. Really shooting it out there is Haney in round one. Another jab by Haney. Kambosos lets go of his punches in combination. Good jab by Kambosos. Haney holds now. Kambosos able to land his cleanest jab of the fight there. And Haney clinching when Kambosos opens up in combination, not exchanging with him. The ref warning Kambosos on the inside. All right, ref taking a little too long here. 20 seconds left in round one. But Haney not fighting on the inside when George opens up, just tying up. George coming forward. Haney tries to shoot a right hand over the top, and George gets his hands up in time, and then Haney clinches thereafter. Good jab by Haney. Missed the first one, but landed his second jab. And that's it for round one. That's Devin Haney's round, 10-9. Landed his jab cleanly about 4 or 5 times that time, really extending it, getting full extension off that jab, and kind of dictating range there. Kambosos exploding once or twice with some good timing, but Devin clinching him just as he opens up. George not able to really land anything significant there. Did get in a jab, but Devin tied him up right after that when George tried to get the 2 and the 3 after the jab. So 10-9, definitely Devin Haney after 1. That jab was a killer early on. So 3 pumps, Kambosos, 1 zip. I don't see how Kambosos could have won that round. That definitely looked like Devin was able to land his jab often enough to clearly take round 1. Kambosos will have to figure out a way around that, but that was expected. It was expected by experts that Haney would have success with his jab. He has the longer jab. He has one of the best jabs in boxing when he uses it. Here we go, round 2 now. Haney, high guard, starting on his front foot actually. Shooting his jab twice. Kambosos getting out of the way of it. Now Kambosos trying to step over to his side. Kambosos actually 8 of 18. Outlanded Haney 8-5 on the CompuBox, but I'm watching the fight without the volume on. It's not how I saw it. It looked like Haney's jab was the best shot between 2 of them. Good jab by Haney, and now Kambosos comes back with a double jab right hand, but Haney with his length pulling away from it, getting just out of the way of it. Good jab by Haney again now. 30 seconds into this second round. Haney misses a 1-2 and then falls into a clinch with George. Works his body a little bit with his free hands in the clinch. Haney misses a right hand over the top, and then George tries to counter, but Devin clinches again. Devin using a lot of clinching here, and he backs George up into the ropes in the clinch, getting handsy with him in the clinch. Haney shooting the jab from the hip. George making him fall short with it. Both fighters putting their left hands low here. Oh, Haney countered with a right hand as he tried to jump in with a left hook. Haney tried to jump in with a lead left hook and ate a right hand there from Kambosos. Good counter by Kambosos. Hard shot. That made Haney's legs react a little bit. That was a good right hand by Kambosos. That's got to give him the edge in the round right now, halfway through the second. Good counter shot by Kambosos. Haney shooting his jab, but Kambosos making him miss it. Then Haney slips underneath the right hand by Kambosos. Kambosos getting himself into the fight now, getting himself started with that right hand. Kambosos short with a right hand to the body. Haney using his length, pulling away. Haney shoots off a jab from long range. Now a jab to the body lands for Haney at long range. Kambosos a little too far out of this long range, which should favor Haney. Kambosos a little too far out there. 50 seconds left. Kambosos ahead of this round because of that right hand counter. Haney jabbing the chest of Kambosos. Kambosos feigning with his lead hand. Feigning, trying to set something up. Haney jabbing and pulling out. 30 seconds left. Haney with that left hand low. Kambosos now trying to cut the distance. It looks like trying to set up that right hand. Haney clinches him. 20 seconds left in the second. Kambosos overshooting with his right hand, but really wants to take his head off with that right hand. Wants to shoot that jab from his hip to set up the overhand right. And he's got good closing speed with it, does Kambosos. Kambosos short with a right hand to the body. Good left hook to the body by Devin, but he eats a right hand up top after landing that left hook to the body. They smile at each other, the ropes. That's Kambosos' round on my card. I thought that right hand alone was enough to do it. Haney with a lead left hook and had that left hand low, pulling out after coming short with the lead left hook and ate a right hand on his way out. I thought that punch was enough to give it to Kambosos 1-1 after 2, 19-19 on the FightHype card. So some people got Devin up 2-zip. What's the cards in the chat, guys? I got it 1-1 right now. Haney in round 1 off the jab. Kambosos in round 2 off the right hand counter when Haney fell short with his lead left hook. Very, very, if you like your boxing, yeah, there's not a lot of hard shots just yet in the first 6 minutes of the fight, but entertaining high-speed chess right now. And both guys with a low left hand that the other maybe can exploit. But let's see here. Haney starting with that left hand picked up. Kambosos trying to get to the body at long range to start in the first 10 seconds. Haney catching those shots well. Good jab by Haney at long range. Here in round 3 in the first 20 seconds. Haney with a nice right hand. Kambosos just missed his counter right hand, trying to walk Devin into a right hand, it looks like, trying to catch Devin jumping in with a shot. But Devin got in a nice little right hand there. Kambosos the one off the back foot. Devin coming forward a little bit here. Jabbing from his hip is Devin. Good jab off the hip from Devin. Now Kambosos jabs to the body. Kambosos catches Haney's jab up top. Haney shoots a jab to the body now. Both fighters in the center of the ring. Kambosos with a nice counter left hand as Haney left his jab out there. Kambosos came back with a short left hook. Center ring here. Devin using the jab. George getting under it. George coming forward. Throws a right hand to the body. Devin counters with a left hook up top. Both fighters got a good shot in there. Devin on the front foot shoots the jab, short with the right hand, but then the jab after the right hand lands hard for Haney. Good left hand, 1-2-1. Good jab by Haney again, and a hard straight right hand off the jab. Good 1-2 by Haney, his hardest right hand so far. There's that right hand at long range over that low left of Kambosos. He paid for it there. Good jab by Haney again. Haney had a hell of a right hand a moment ago. Good jab to the body by Haney. Kambosos a little too far out. 1-2 for Haney, and then he backs Kambosos into the ropes. Haney imposing his size there at long range. That was a hell of a sharp 1-2 by Haney 30 seconds ago. He's ahead in this round now. 50 seconds left in the third. Kambosos has to get back if he wants to win this round. Haney with a lead left hook. Kambosos blocks it, but misses his counter shots. Kambosos so short with his counters right now. He's too far away from the long arms of Haney. Haney knowing the distance right now at long range. Good jab by Haney. Haney circling out. Kambosos a little frustrated here in round 3. 30 seconds left. Good jab to the body by Devin Haney. Haney shoots a 1-2 and then a left hand. Left hand gets in a little bit there. Kambosos big swing and a miss with a left hook. Haney dipping under it, making him hit nothing but air. 10 seconds left. Haney looking comfortable, hands at his side, loosening up in there. Feeling good off the jab. 2-1 Haney. Good jab by Haney again. Kambosos is got to find a way to cut the distance. He's a little too far out with those long arms of Haney and the superior jab of Haney. I got a 29-28 Haney. Gave him rounds 1 and 3. Gave Kambosos the second. Ooh, we got this here. Kambosos is frustrated, said Zamora 444. He did look frustrated there in the third. The length of Haney causing a lot of problems right now by Kambosos. That's something myself and a lot of other experts talked about, but the length of Haney, and he knows how to establish that range off the jab. He did it immediately in round 1. And that's what's happened to Kambosos. Kambosos, outside of a hard right hand in the second round, has been beaten at range, outboxed at range through 3 rounds. But that right hand gave him the second round, so he's only down a point through 3. Yeah. Andrew White, George is flat-footed or a step slow tonight. Haney's making him look that way. I don't see George as flat right now. I think Haney is making it look that way right now. Round 4. George starts with his jab, hits the chest of Haney. Haney comes back with his jab, George parrying it with the right hand. But not a great look on George's face. Doesn't look very comfortable in there. It looks a little frustrated by Haney. But it's 2-1 right now. Here we are, 30 seconds into the fourth. Haney double jabs. George gets away from it, but Haney coming forward behind that double jab there. Good jab to the body by Haney. Good jab by Haney. Shooting it down from his hip. Kambosos comes back, but Devin with good defense there from the counters of Kambosos. Good defense by Haney. Haney making Kambosos fall short with a couple of jabs here with good defense. Now shoots a nice jab to the pit of the stomach of Kambosos. Haney using his jab at range. Kambosos too far out. Not getting hit by the jab, but not stepping in to range either. Haney keeping him far out where he wants him with that jab. Jab to the body by Haney. Kambosos short with his counter jab to the head. Kambosos trying to come forward. Haney measures him and makes Kambosos back off. Halfway through the round now. Haney winning the round. Good jab by Haney. The jab is a killer right now for Kambosos. Now Haney tries to sweep a right hand behind the jab, and Kambosos gets his hands up. Again, the jab, if not landing for Haney, is just completely dictating range. Good left hook to the body by Haney at long range, and then he comes in and holds George, and George looks at the ref, frustrated by Haney's clinch. Minute left in the fourth round. Haney gaining control right now. Kambosos shoots a double jab and a right hand to the body, but just good, slick defense by Devin Haney tonight. He's very sharp right now. Haney shooting that jab to keep range, backing off, using his footwork when he needs to. Good left hand, left hook by Devin Haney. Haney missing the 1-2, but then he caught George pulling out with that left hook. And then he slips underneath George's punches again. Haney, great defense right now, not getting hit. Beautiful jab, and then a slip by Haney, just off with the right hand, but a beautiful movement just now by Devin Haney. Starting to really fall into his comfort zone, making George miss and flail and hit air. 10 seconds left in the fourth. It's been a clean round of boxing for Devin Haney. He catches a left hook by Kambosos. Hard left hook by Kambosos, but Haney got the right glove up to catch it. Good jab by Kambosos. Knocked Devin's head back a little bit there. But other than that, clean round of boxing for Devin Haney. 39-37, 3-1 for Haney. Just a clean round of boxing there. Top boxing. Nope. FightHype has a 3-1 for Haney. 39-37. Tank knocks Haney out by the fifth, says the one and only. I don't know about that, man. Tank is at 5'5". He's got to get in range with those shorter arms, and Haney right now is a monster behind his jab at dictating range, at long range. It's a problem. He's a problem in the ring tonight, and his defense is extremely sharp. He's found the range behind the jab, and he's just controlling it behind that. Yeah, I think it's been a pretty easy fight to score so far. 3-1, Haney. All right, fifth round now. Haney mixing it up, sometimes keeping his left hand high, sometimes dropping it at his waist. Good defense by Haney, slipping 2 shots by Kambosos there. Kambosos making Haney miss his jab. 20 seconds into the fifth now. Haney shooting a right hand to the body. Good jab by Haney. Kambosos, big left uppercut by Devin Haney. Kambosos reached down with a right hand to the body, and Devin landed a beautiful left uppercut just now. Beautiful shot by Devin. Great jab by Devin, too, as George steps in. Great timing there by Haney. That is a very hard shot to land in the way Devin just landed it, that left uppercut. That was beautiful stuff. One minute into the fifth. That uppercut definitely has Haney ahead right now. Haney really boxing extremely well tonight. Makes Kambosos flail and miss with a right hand. Good jab again by Haney. Out jabbing Kambosos. Kambosos with a right hand to the body off the jab. Devin clinches him and turns him around. Halfway through the fifth now. Haney up in this round off a hard left uppercut in the first minute. Kambosos again trying to get to the body, but Haney so quick to clinch and then turn him around. But it's some people don't like the clinching, but it's skill. It's a very skillful put your hands on the guy and turn him, kind of clinching from Haney. Kambosos getting Haney to exchange. That's the fight he wants. Haney landed his right hand in that exchange, but that's what Kambosos wants. But good jab by Haney. Just now, 1 minute left in the fifth. Haney winning this round. Good jab again by Haney. Haney jabbing again. Kambosos getting Haney on the inside, but Haney wisely clinching. Ref breaks him up. 40 seconds left now in the fifth. Kambosos trying to get low, trying to come forward, but having problems finding the mark there, finding the answers, finding the adjustment. The length of Haney, the speed of Haney, and the straight precision shots, and the jab, making it tough for Kambosos. Right hand over the top for Haney, just misses. Kambosos gets to the body, but Haney fires a right hand after that. Good right hand for Kambosos, just missed. He shot a hard right hand off the jab, but Haney just making him short. Again, that length. 10 seconds left. Kambosos, another big right hand by Kambosos, but Haney making him hit air. And that's it for round 5. Another round for Haney. Kambosos at times, these last couple rounds, trying to close strong, but way too little too late. And then Haney's defense is very sharp. So he's not letting him steal any rounds. But that 5th round was Haney again. Beautiful left uppercut in the first minute. Kambosos, Haney shot a jab, was pivoting, turns him. And then Kambosos shoots his jab, tries to throw a right hand to the body. And then just as he reaches down for the body shot, he eats a clean left uppercut from Haney, who punched off the pivot. Takes a lot of athleticism and skill to do that. That was a beautiful shot from Haney in the 5th. So 49-46, Haney through 5. Gave Kambosos the 2nd, but 1, 3, 4, and 5 was Haney. Roaming Nomad. Haney gets tired in the second half of the fight. George has a good engine. Well, he better hope he gets tired in the second half of the fight. But this is where moments like the Linares fight, where Devin did get a little tired, they come into your development and your seasoning for this moment. And Haney may not get tired like he did in that fight because of the seasoning from that fight. He passed that hurdle that night. We will find out if this fight continues. But right now, Haney is in control through 5 rounds, 4 rounds to 1. Here we are in the 6th now, and Haney starts with his jab to the body, shoots a right hand behind his jab up top. Kambosos pulling out. Jab lands for Haney. Another right hand behind the jab. Kambosos got away from the right hand, but he ate the jab. He eats another jab. Kambosos trying to get to the body, but Haney knows how to use his footwork to step out of range when he's trying to fire to the body, and he's sliding underneath a lot of shots up top as well. Good footwork by Haney here. Not over moving, just moving just enough. Haney shoots his jab down from his hip. Kambosos gets away from it. Minute into the 6th now. Neither guy landing much here so far in the 6th. Kambosos with a little welt underneath his right eye. 2 body shots by Kambosos get in. Kambosos shooting a right hand to the body off the jab. Getting a little bit of body work in here. Haney shoots a right hand. Kambosos pulls out away from it, but it got the side of the head, grazed him a little bit. Kambosos short with a right hand to the body off the jab. Both fighters exchanging jabs there, falling short. Halfway through the 6th, Kambosos needs a round like this. Haney missing with the right hand off the jab. Clinches, leans on top of Kambosos there. Kambosos trying to fire to the body again, but Haney stepping out of range of those body shots. Kambosos with a lead left hook. Got in a little bit there. Haney got his glove up, but it partially landed. Good shot for Kambosos. Didn't get in completely clean, but this round could be there for Kambosos. He needs a strong last minute. 1 minute left in the 6th. Been a close round. Haney landing a little right hand on the inside here. That left hook did get Devin's attention a little bit. It looked good to the judges, even though I think it only partially landed. Hard right hand to the body by Devin. Straight right hand at long range. Devin not as dominant this round as he has been in the last couple. Jab gets in for both fighters there. They trade jabs. 30 seconds left. Kambosos just off with a right hand, and Haney clinches. Close round. 20 seconds left. 10 seconds left. Haney just missing with a right hand, and George goes to the body after Haney misses that right hand over the top. Good jab for Haney, makes George fall with his right hand. Close round. Maybe the round that does go to George, being in Australia, he'll get the benefit of the doubt. I want to see the replay here on that left hook. I got to see the replay here on the left hook. That was a competitive 6th round. Kambosos may have done enough to edge it and make this fight 4 rounds to 2. Let's see that replay, ESPN. Come on. Got to see this replay on that left hook, man. They're not showing it. So I can see this either 5-1 for Haney or 4-2. That 6th round was a little close, and it looked like, even though it was only partially landed, Kambosos got the people's attention with that left hook with Haney along the ropes with about a minute left, a minute and a half in the round. But they didn't show that again. But a swing round in the 6th, the kind of round that if you're at home, you might get it, benefit of the doubt. So round 7 now. Let's see if Haney reestablishes complete control. Some people may have thought he did enough to win that round. Good left hook from Haney, just off. Almost walked Kambosos into a nice check left hook. Now Haney using his jab twice. Haney jabbing again. Kambosos coming in twice with his jab. Haney gets low, falls him into the clinch again. Haney with a lead left hook, but Kambosos gets his hand up to block it, but a good jab by Haney then. Kambosos trying to let his hands go with Haney along the ropes. Nothing lands there. Gets a little bit off to the body. Crowd reacting, but nothing got off there. Minute into the 7th. 2 minutes left in the round. Haney doesn't want to get away from his jab here. There he goes. He uses it twice. Kambosos able not to get touched with it. Good jab there by Haney. Missed with the right hand, but the jab landed. That jab has caused a nice welt underneath Kambosos' right eye. Kambosos with a nice little right hand on the inside. He tried to hook off his jab, missed both punches, but he hit Devin with a right hand up close in the clinch. Devin reaching to the body, touches George to the body there. Good jab by Haney. And then he turns out. Great footwork by Haney, making George basically spin into a 360 after that jab. Devin making George walk into a right hand a little bit there, but he ate a jab as he landed his right hand. Haney using his jab again. Touching with his jab, tries to set up a right hand. Kambosos trying to let his hands go in close. Haney tying up. Minute left in the 7th. Haney just showed good jab by Haney. Haney missing with the left uppercut, but shot the jab off the miss and landed a beautiful jab. Another double jab by Haney. Beautiful double jab by Haney there. Giving him the edge now in this 7th round. Kambosos trying to time Haney as Haney reached to the body but couldn't land. Good defense by Haney. 30 seconds left in the 7th. Haney winning this round off those couple of jabs. Right hand lands for Haney as George tried to reach in. George looking a little tired on that attempt. Haney didn't load up on that right hand counter, just touched him with it, but it was a good shot. Good jab by Haney. Hard, sharp jab off the hip. 1-2 off the hip from Haney, too. Good jab again from Haney, making Kambosos overshoot his punches. Good, strong final minute to the 7th for Devin Haney. He definitely won the 7th round. So depending on how you scored the 6th, it's either 5 rounds to 2 for Devin Haney or 6 rounds to 1 for Devin Haney. That's how we got it on FightHype, 68-65 or 69-64 Haney. George is very frustrated. Cody said, shaking my head, announcer biased as fuck. I don't know. I don't know how else you want me to score it. There's no other way. The most generous card you could give Kambosos is the 2nd and the 6th round. Outside of that, rounds 1, 3, 4, 5, and 7 have been pretty clear Haney rounds off the jab, you know. So Haney is ahead in this fight. George will need to rally in these last 5 rounds. I do see a little bit of swelling now over Devin Haney's right eye. So, but George looking worse for wear with a couple of welts underneath both his left and right eyes. A lot of that from the jab of Devin Haney. But Devin swelling a little bit around his right eye himself now. Here we go in round 8. Center of the ring still. Neither guy yet to be hurt. Neither guy yet to really land his hardest shot. Haney's landed a couple of right hands. He landed a hard left uppercut a round ago, or 2-3 rounds ago. But Devin shooting the jab to the body there. Kambosos, short left hook inside. Haney just getting his hand up to block it. But that was the range George wants, up close. But George has been forced to play chess, just like Mickey Bay made him. But tonight, he's in with a younger, fresher, better fighter in Haney. Just missed with a left hook, though, did George. Is trying to time Devin using Devin's jab and shoot a left hook in there, but hard to do that with the long arms of Haney. 1-2 lands clean for Haney. Good 1-2 by Devin Haney, a minute into the 8th now. George frustrated. Little right hand gets in for Haney again. Oh, George just off with an uppercut, but Haney with really good defense and pivoting with his feet. Good jab by Kambosos. But Haney ahead in this round. Landed a hard 1-2 early. Good jab and just missed with the right hand. Sweeping right hand touches the gloves of Kambosos, who got his hands up. Haney winning the 8th right now, halfway through it. Kambosos off with a 1-2. Haney too long, knows when to pull away, knows when to pivot out, knows when to spin out, knows when to clinch, knows when to dip underneath. Good jab by Haney, good 1-2 by Kambosos coming back. But Haney, good defense, just slipping and sliding, not getting caught clean with much. Good jab by Haney off the hip. Good right hand by George Kambosos to the body. Good jab by Haney, knocks Kambosos' head back. Another jab by Haney, knocks Kambosos' head up a little bit there. Kambosos a little frustrated, but not getting reckless still. Still trying to keep it sharp. But he knows time is starting to tick in this fight. And that he's eaten a lot of jabs that make it hard to sway judges back his way. Check left hook lands for Haney, and he spins out of the way. Great defense getting underneath the return fire. Haney with his boxing shoes on right now, just outboxing George Kambosos. It's that simple right now. He's outboxing him. Good jab by Haney. Kambosos flailing with a right hand and misses. A crowd starting to cheer, getting anxious. Maybe wants Haney to stand and trade, but Haney is winning the fight with his boxing skills right now. Great jab by Haney. And that's it for the 8th. George and Devin sticks his tongue out at George, and George tries to go heads up with Haney before they walk back to their corners. But that was a clean 8th round for Haney. No other way to score it. Either 7 rounds to 1, 79-73, or 6 rounds to 2, 78-74 for Devin Haney. Barring a knockdown, he can do no worse than a draw at this point. Rebel Archangel, thank you, brother, for saying great commentary. Ashley SJ says commentary dick riding Haney. It's really not, though. There's not much George is landing. You know, he's being outboxed at long range. I thought the 6th round, he might have done enough to win the 6th round. That would give him the 2nd and the 6th to give him 2 rounds, but there's no way George, through these first 8, has won more than 2 rounds. There's just no way. There's just no other way to call the fight. In my, yeah. So 6-2 Haney right now. Could even be 7-1 depending on the 6th, but we'll say 6-2 here in the 9th round. Championship rounds coming up now. Haney with a double jab, and the jab to the body landed nice. Ooh, nice left hook by Haney. George getting his hand up for it, but ate a little bit of it too. 1-2 for Haney. Hard 1-2 landed for Haney over that low left hand of George Kambosos. Beautiful 1-2 by Haney. 30 seconds into the 9th, and Haney has Winning the ninth early on off that 1-2. Good jab to the body by Haney, too. Hard right hand by Haney. Fell short with the jab, but straight as an arrow right hand behind it. Landed on the chin of George Kambosos. George starting to take some heavy right hands in the ninth. Devin has gotten to the point where he's dissected his man, and maybe now he can start to hit him with the heavy shots. George getting rough, and Devin goes to the canvas, but it's off some roughhousing tactics. No knockdown. Minute into the ninth, and Haney has landed a couple of hard straight right hands in this round. Jab for Haney lands at long range. George trying some different looks, but flailing away, falls into the ropes after missing a shot there. Nice 1-2 for Haney. Nice jab, knocks George Kambosos' head up. Haney starting to knock his head around in the ninth round, landing hard shots. Minute 15 left in the ninth. Haney tries a heavy lead left hook, and George blocks it. Haney trying to check with the left hook. Wants to land something hard this round. Haney blocking a left hook by Kambosos. Good defense. Just short with a big left hook by Haney. Trying to walk George into a left hook or a right hand here. 50 seconds left. Haney getting a little dangerous on those counters. Landed a left hook, but almost ate a right hand on the side of his head for trying to sell out on that counter. Haney with his hands at his waist, landing a beautiful jab, but keeping his hands dangerously at his waist. Right hand for Haney, and he smiles, feeling good. Kambosos short with a right hand to the body. Haney misses with a lead left hook, but again, is so wise with his clinching tonight. 20 seconds left in the ninth. Another big round for Haney here. Jab lands for Haney. 10 seconds left. George tries to come in. Devin uses that shoulder roll, makes a miss. Clinches up. And that's it for the ninth. Another round for Haney. Either 8 rounds to 1 or 7 rounds to 2 through 9. But that was a big ninth round. George ate a couple of big right hands there, walked into a left hook, but it was really those straight right hands in the first half of the round that were big. Some of the biggest shots Haney's landed all night. George getting his eye worked on with the end swelling around his right eye. Got a mouse under his left eye, both eyes. Let's see again on the replay what happened here. I'm here faintly on my audio. Beautiful comeback here by Kambosos, by Bradley. Bradley is one of the best commentators in the world, but this has been a pretty whitewashed fight for Haney right now. Damian Lillard out there. All right, round 10, championship rounds. Kambosos needs these rounds and then some on my card. Got it 7-2 or 8-1 for Haney. In firm control of this fight with 3 rounds left. Landed some hard right hands in the first half of that 9th round. Good jab by Haney lands. Haney with that left hand low. Comfortable at long range. Kambosos shoots a right hand, but Haney using his length to get away from it again like he has all night long. Right hand to the body for Haney. Not a big puncher, so not a lot on that right hand to the body. Haney misses with a right hand over the top. Checks Kambosos with a left hook as Kambosos misses his right hand. Minute into the 10th. Haney shoots his jab. Kambosos comes back with his. Nice lead left hook by Kambosos. Haney with his hand up to get it, but a little bit of it got in. It had an impact. Kambosos trying to counter with a right uppercut as Haney shoots a 1-2, but short. Short a lot of the night. That long range distance from Haney, knowing how to use his long arms, has made Kambosos fall short a lot. Kambosos just off with a right hand over the top. Shot a jab to the body to set up a right hand over the top, and just off with it. Halfway through the 10th now. Good jab by Haney, but a more competitive round in the 8th and the 9th right now. Haney blocking a left hook from Kambosos. Kambosos with a little right hand on the inside of the body. Kambosos, nice left hand, lands for Kambosos after he misses the right, and now a left hand inside again. Haney clinching. 2 good left hands in that sequence for George Kambosos. Probably puts him ahead of the round with a minute left in the 10th. Haney with 2 jabs, with George parrying it. 45 seconds left in the 10th. George badly needs this round. 1-2 lands for Haney. Right hand, not a lot of power on it. Good jab from Haney, too. Long distance, straight punches landing for Haney there. Right hand just off for Haney. Almost walked George into it. George eating some nice jab to the body by Haney, too. 25 seconds left. Haney jabs up top. George with the lead left hook. Haney gets his hand up to block it. Gets in a little bit there. Haney trying to tag George coming in. George just off with a right uppercut. Closer 10th round for George Kambosos. I don't know if he really did enough to win that round, but it was much more competitive than the 8th and the 9th, which Haney clearly won. So rounds 6 and 10, perhaps a little close there, maybe enough for Kambosos to get it back in Australia. This fight could be as close as 7 rounds to 3 here in the last 2 rounds coming up. What do you guys got it in the chat? Yeah, I would have this 7-3. I could see it 8-2. Devin Haney as well. But Kambosos at the most could have won rounds 2, 6, and 10. Here we go on the replay. Short left hand did land for Kambosos. Off the 1-2, and then Haney eats another left hand there. So 2 good left hands there, maybe enough to get Kambosos a close round in the 10th, a round he badly needs. But on my card, as long as Haney stands up, he's already won 7 rounds in these after those first 10. 2 rounds left. Here we are in the 11th. Kambosos needs these 2 rounds. Haney off with a short right hand. Kambosos got underneath it. 2 jabs land for Haney, though, as Kambosos steps out of the pocket. Kambosos with a right hand over the top, just off. Almost hitting the side of Devin's head with that right hand. Good jab by Devin at long range. Blocks the left hook by Kambosos. Good defense blocking that left hook. Double jab by Haney. Second jab got in a little bit. Double jab again by Haney. Jab got into the body. Good jab by Haney. Time George stepping in. Good jab again by Haney. One minute into the 11th. Devin with the edge as he has in most of these rounds off that jab. They fought at long range a lot of this fight, and that has just favored Haney. Left hook almost got in for Kambosos there. Landed just on the chest, just shy of the chin for Kambosos. But again, just short because Haney knows his long range behind those long arms and that jab. Kambosos short with his jab as he steps in now. Haney fires his back in there. Good jab for Haney. What a great jab he has had tonight at times in this fight. Jab is the most important punch in boxing, they say. And tonight that has been true for Devin Haney. Jab has won him this fight more than any other punch. Should he win this fight, he is about 4 minutes away from being the undisputed lightweight champion. Ahead in the 11th round, 1 minute left. Kambosos' face reddened for a number of rounds. Another jab by Haney off the double jab. Stiff, straight jab landing. Beautiful long jab by Haney. Full extension on it. Kambosos with a left hook, but Haney getting that right hand in to block it cleanly. 50 seconds left in the 11th. Jab for Haney lands again. Shooting it with full good hard left hook by Haney, and then a little right hand after that as Kambosos tries to march in, getting anxious. Double jab by Haney. Touches Kambosos up. Jab to the body by Haney. Haney not getting touched here in the 11th. Great defense. Great defense again by Haney. Making George, straight right hand over the top by Devin Haney lands. And then a little check hook 20 seconds left in the 11th. Devin boxing extremely well. 15 seconds left. Clean Devin Haney round. 10 seconds left. Kambosos coming forward, missing. Bangs his gloves together out of frustration. Double jab by Haney. Jab to the body lands. And Devin sticks his tongue out. Kambosos walks back to his corner. He knows he's lost this fight on the cards. Knows he needs a knockout. That is 8 or 9 rounds for Haney. I think either 9 rounds to 2 or 8 rounds to 3 after 11. He's got this fight won, barring a knockout. Let's see. Someone said fight is Haney boring because of Haney. No, it's just Haney is fighting the right disciplined fight to fight against this guy. For Devin to not use his legs and to stand in range with Kambosos and bang would just be beneficial to Kambosos. And Haney hasn't been on his bike a lot tonight. There's been times he stepped forward, stepped into that right hand, landed it. He hasn't been really on his bike that much. It's been smart movement, not excessive movement. And the jab has dictated the range. And he knows as long as he fights off that jab, he can make Kambosos fall short all night long. And he has. He hasn't fought a scary or a boring fight at all. He's fought a really good, disciplined, really smart boxing match. And he's 3 minutes away from being the undisputed lightweight champion. Like I always said he would be. So here we are. 2 minutes, 45 seconds left. Kambosos needs a knockout. Don't see it coming. Good jab for Haney. Kambosos blocked the lead left hook a second ago. Coming forward. High guard for Kambosos. Shoots a couple of shots off there, but Haney just slippery. Makes it look like he's shadow boxing. It's made him fall short with so many punches tonight. Outside of a nice right hand in the second round for Kambosos, he hasn't been able to land much at all. Big left hook misses for Kambosos. Completely misses and hits nothing but air. Kambosos getting to the body with a two-piece there. Haney not letting his hands go too much in the first minute of the 12th. Devin should still want to close the show here. Good jab to the body by Devin off the touch jab up top. Double jab for Haney. Kambosos blocking the right hand behind that double jab, but a good double jab by Haney. Nice left hook by Kambosos, but Haney able to roll off most of the steam of it. Good left hook to the body by Kambosos. He works in the clinch. Minute and a half left in the 12th. Haney, not as concerned in this round as the last couple, but good jab by Haney. Haney is on his bike a little bit this round, not fighting as letting his hands go quite as much in the 12th as he has the last several rounds where he's been pretty dominant throughout most of the fight. Kambosos 2 shots, but Haney pivoting his way out of there, spinning his way out of there with lateral movement, pivots. 50 seconds left. Check hook for Haney, but Kambosos walks right through it, comes with his jab. Crowd in Australia is chanting. Kambosos with a lead left hook, but Haney too good defensively, not getting touched by it. Kambosos is maybe winning this round. Kambosos firing a right hand and left hook. Haney looking at the clock. Don't like that. Would wish Haney would close the show. I understand he's playing it smart, but put the final imprint, win this round and just, you're in the man's hometown after all. You don't know if they gave him some bullshit rounds. You don't want to just take this round off. And Kambosos 10 seconds left, letting his hands go in combination up close, doing enough to probably scratch and sniff the 12th round. And Kambosos, with winning that 12th round, may have done enough to win 4 rounds to make it 116, 112. Scored this fight for Haney either 117, 111 or 116, 112 for Devin Haney. Thought it was a pretty easy fight to score. And I doubt even with the fight being in Australia that they'll take it away from Haney, who is up on the top rope now celebrating. Kambosos not celebrating, which tells you he believes he knows he lost the fight as well. So a chess match, not quite as much action as people would hope, but a chess match and really good boxing by Devin Haney. He is just going to be such a problem with his length and jab and terrific defense and athleticism to deal with at 35. I know Tank is a harder puncher than him and is more in his prime than Haney is at 23 versus 27, 28 years old for Tank. But at 5'5" versus 5'9" for Haney, who is very long with 71-inch reach, just 1 inch shorter than Floyd Mayweather had. That length is a motherfucker for anybody at lightweight. So the new undisputed king is Devin Haney at lightweight. So barring a robbery, barring a Julio Cesar Chavez, Pernell Whitaker-like robbery, Haney has this fight won. So thanks everybody for tuning in for this, man. Looks like, and should Haney get this well-deserved decision, he'll be the first undisputed lightweight champion since Pernell Whitaker, which, you know, in his obviously in his own right was one of the great American fighters in boxing history. And this is a first huge step for Haney towards becoming a great fighter. You know, becoming undisputed lightweight champion at 23 is such a great accomplishment. Bob Arum says he only won one round. Bob Arum comes up to Devin Haney and tells him he only won one round. So great job by Haney. Should definitely be. George knows he's lost this fight. As you can see from him in the corner. Face reddened up, marked up, got outboxed, got his ears boxed off tonight. Didn't get beat up too bad, but really got outboxed by Devin Haney, who will come back home to the States, the undisputed champ. The dream for the dream has come true, it would appear, barring what would be one of the biggest robberies in boxing recent history. Haney is already taking celebration photos with Bob Arum and his team, already posing. And Kambosos, despite all his bravado, he did want Lomachenko instead of this fight. I think he knew deep down inside. I think everybody knows deep down inside with Devin Haney. He's just an extremely difficult style. You could try to talk and malign him and talk him down, but you're better off doing that instead of actually getting in the ring and fighting him, because if you do, there's a really good chance you're going to lose and get outboxed. He's got one of the best jabs in boxing. Him, Spence, Benavidez, Bivol has a great jab, but he's on the short list of the best when it comes to the jab. Took a little bit of swelling around his right eye. Took a good right hand in the second round, but other than that, Kambosos landed that right hand in the second round, and you're thinking, here we go. It's going to be a long night. It's going to be a tough fight for Haney. But that didn't materialize, and instead he really dominated and outboxed Kambosos for probably 9 out of 12 rounds. And then the other 3 that Kambosos won outside of that right hand in the second round, it was more he moved his hands in a round where Devin's foot wasn't on the gas as much. Here's the scorecards of Michael Buffer. (116, 112) by 2 judges. And 118, 110 by the 3rd judge. From Las Vegas, Nevada, the new undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Devin Haney. Devin Haney is the undisputed lightweight champion. Bill Haney is talking his mess to George Kambosos' father in the ring, but very well earned. Good scores by the judges. 2 scores of 8-4, 1 score of 10-10. Good scores, and some shit talking happened in the ring now. And now a handshake by Bill and George's team. A handshake by Devin and George Kambosos. But for Kambosos, so far he winds up a 1-hit wonder with the win over Lopez. And the 2 teams having to be separated a little bit here, Haney and Kambosos, but Devin Haney, the first undisputed lightweight champion since Pernell Whitaker, makes good on all the promise he had as an amateur, as a guy that a lot of people thought could be the next Floyd Mayweather. But he has delivered on his promise, on his dream tonight. 28-0, 15 knockouts, and the true undisputed lightweight champion of the world. All 4 belts, no franchise, no interim, no nothing. All 4 belts, Ring Magazine champ. You could go ahead and put his name there. He holds the same belts, the same lineal title that Roberto Duran held, that Floyd Mayweather held, that Juan Manuel Marquez held, that even George Kambosos held for all of a fight. And now Devin Haney fulfilling his destiny tonight. And personally happy for him, having covered him since he was 15 years old, back when his dad owned a gym called the Hit Factory in Vegas. So not surprised that he won this fight. He was a favorite. And yeah, man, great performance by Devin Haney. I'm actually going to, if I may, take a quick piss break. Real quick. I will be right back. 2 seconds, folks. All right. So dun 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 na 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 na. It's the official FightHype post-game show here with Sean Zattel and potentially someone else if they want to join me. But guys, that is it. Devin Haney, man, hard-earned, well-earned, clear, flirted with a shutout throughout the night, but wins a big lopsided decision over George Kambosos, showed one of the best jabs in boxing, one of the best pure boxers in boxing. He proved it all tonight. So, and we will be live, I believe, at the post-fight or not. I'm not sure, but yeah, here we are. Oh, Haney in the post-fight interview let's hear what he says. Allah Akbar. Haney converted to Islam, I think 2 years ago. So he's going ahead and referencing his religion right there. Devin says it would have hurt him to accomplish this without his dad by his side. So he's thankful that he came. Him and his dad hugged. And just a beautiful moment for Devin Haney, man. Fulfilling his destiny and becoming the undisputed lightweight champ. How'd you guys enjoy the commentary throughout the night? I hope you guys had fun doing this. Someone said, yeah, he's got to do a rematch first. You never know. It's a big payday, so Kambosos will, in all likelihood, renew that rematch clause. But Kambosos, you never know. He might say, nah, there's really no point to this. But in all likelihood, Devin will have to fight him again. But I can say it now. I've always you guys could look up my Twitter account if you want, but I've always loved the 4 Kings. I called them the 4 Kings before really any of them won a title except Tank, because Tank won a title so far back in 2017. But that 4 Kings stuff with Garcia and Lopez and all them, I called them that back in 2018. And I always had my most money on Haney because he has more technical skill than Garcia, and he's taller and can put weight on and go to more divisions than Stevenson, Lopez, and Tank. So I always had my chips on Haney, and so sure enough, it's Haney, and Lopez was the undisputed, but it's Haney out of the 4 Kings, and let's put Shakur in there too as the 5th king, who becomes the first undisputed king out of all of them. It's Haney tonight who does that. And again, get ready for it because he's not going anywhere for the next 10 years at least at just 23 years old. He has the kind of tall, slender frame at lightweight that he can go up to 47 and become a champion at welterweight as well as 140. So I pick him against the field at lightweight. as explosive and as great a fighter as Tank Davis is, I think, he's more of a true 130, 135. He's not destined for 147, even though he knocked out Mario Barrios at 140. I think Haney is bigger than him, and he has a better jab than him. And I think he can, maybe Tank knocks him out, but I think Haney can outbox Davis. I think same for Lopez, and I think same for Garcia. So I think not only does he have the belts, but I think even head-to-head in the ring, Haney really is the best lightweight in the world. So shout out to Devin Haney, now the lightweight king. And come back soon, Loma, for sure. I like, that is a great next fight for Devin Haney, Lomachenko. Beating a future Hall of Famer like him just continues to solidify yourself as one of the stars of the sport and as a young, great fighter. Beating Lomachenko would be tremendous. But I really think in these divisions, the real buildup is to Tank. I think that's the real buildup. Yeah, him and with Garcia's height, him and Ryan Garcia don't have to fight at lightweight. They could fight as high as 147 because they both are these tall lightweights that can pack on the weight. Tank, he's going to max out at 40. He's such a talented fighter. Maybe he knocks out a welterweight at some point, but he's maxed out at 40. So the Tank fight needs to happen in these divisions for Devin. That's the fight for me. Easily, that's the fight for me. I think Devin gets by Lomachenko. Lomachenko started at 26. Devin's going to end up at 40. His length is going to be a lot of problems for Lomachenko. Yeah, Lomachenko could step aside, but when he steps aside, he's going to be so far out off the jab of Haney that it won't matter. He'll have his moments. He'll probably do better than Kambosos did tonight, but the real mega fight in the division is Tank and Haney. Tank is the pay-per-view superstar of the division, and Haney is the king of the division. That is the Crawford Spence of 135. Is Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney. I feel very safe in saying that. Matt Butera, thank you, brother, for that 10. Thank you, man. Excellent commentary. Really enjoyed it. Unbiased and scorecards consistent with your views. Yeah, thank you, man. That's all I ever do is call it down the middle. Had Kambosos been getting off and winning rounds, you saw the judges in Australia, 2 judges gave him 116, 112. And that was the benefit of the doubt scorecard I had is 116, 112. My regular card, no benefit of the doubt in swing rounds, 117, 111 Haney. So yeah, I feel like this fight was an easy fight to score. Some fights like Stephen Fulton versus Brandon Figueroa are not easy to score. As a matter of fact, that fight's going on now. What round is that fight in, guys? Maybe I should switch over to Showtime. And never mind. I'm getting the this on that. But it's over. Did Fulton win? Okay. Did he win by stoppage? No. Okay. So Fulton wins an expected decision. I expected Fulton to win that fight. I imagine, I have to watch it, but I imagine it wasn't as controversial as the Figueroa fight. That was a tough fight to score. But Fulton himself is on the fringes of the pound for pound, maybe on some people's pound for pound already. Let's hear what Kambosos is saying. Kambosos is just giving props to Devin, making no excuses, just kind of giving Devin his props, showing his class. Kambosos said, Kambosos says we will do it again, meaning he will activate that rematch clause with Devin Haney. I think, all of us would rather see Devin move on to Loma. And then for me, my big picture is Tank. But the big picture Tank, because this fight is a big step for Haney. He has ascended Tank in the division in terms of credibility. He's the undisputed lightweight champion. But he is still got work to make up as a box office draw for Tank Davis. I think he's not there yet with this win. A Lomachenko win does a lot to get him there. And then he can bring the money on the table to make the reward more aligned with the huge risk that he is for Tank Davis. Once that happens, then maybe PBC makes that fight. But That fight to me, like I said, is the Spence Crawford of the lightweight division. Anyone know total punches landed for Haney, says Mr. Top 10. Haney outlanded him 159 to 100 in total punches. To my eyes, it was a bigger disparity than that. I didn't see 100 clean punches landed for George Kambosos. I think it was a bigger discrepancy than that. Even in round one, they showed Haney being outlanded 8-5, and that was just absurd. He hardly got touched in the first round, and he touched Kambosos a couple of times with his jab. But, you know, you can't – CompuBox is far from gospel. Mr. Top 10, 159 punches for Devin. I got you, bro. It's 159 punches for Devin. Steve A said, thanks, Ashton Kutcher, for the stream. You got it. American boxing fan, outstanding job, Sean. As always, thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. Great commentary. Everyone's saying great commentary. I'm happy you guys feel that way. For everyone tuned in right now, man, make sure you rock with us on Tuesday. I'll be live doing a round by round for that rematch between Inoue and Donaire. Should be a hell of a fight, you know. So there should be a hell of a fight. I don't see, as savvy as Donaire is, you know, he's got that wonderful veteran timing, not relying on his gifts as much because he's 38, 39, so he's got that great timing. But I just think there's no reason that Inoue shouldn't beat him a second time. He's still the younger, fresher guy. Oh, Bill's saying there should be 2 green ones over here. And he said, okay, there is. Bill said he told everybody, and now he showed the world. Mark Kriegel saying, we believe you now. We all believe you. Again, for my 12 or so, you know, fans that have kind of followed me throughout, you know how much I believed in Devin Haney throughout his career, even as a teenager. So, yeah, there's some validation here. You know, we call these fights down the middle and neutral, but covering Haney since he was a teenager at 15 in Las Vegas, there's happy for him here. Happy for him and Bill. All right, that does it. That's a wrap up for ESPN. They're now sending it back to their booth. But a beautiful moment for Devin Haney. Not unified, not franchise, not interim. He is the undisputed Ring Magazine. Whatever belt there is in the lightweight division, it's around his waist or his arms or his shoulders or his neck. It's his. So congrats to Devin. Did my man want to join me at all for some post-fight talk? Nope, no post-fight talk from my man. I think that's about it, man. I think I'm about ready to wrap it up. If anybody wants to shoot some shit my way before I get out of here, go for it. We will have post-fight coverage from Australia. Post-fight conference will be on the channel. Everything will be on the channel, so expect all of that. But yeah, before I get out of here, let me just see if there's anything else anybody wants to say. Thank you, Craig Mack. I loved your albums when you were alive. You know. All right, so weather, Haney. All right, easy work. Mosquito, who won? Haney won wide. All right, that's about it, guys. I think that's it. Looks like you guys gotten your fill of me for the night. Calling the fight. Had a lot of fun calling that one. Always have fun with everybody. Much love to you, and be back here 48 hours for Inoue versus Donaire. Hold it down with us in 48 hours. So see you guys later. Peace.